going, everybody? Welcome to Most Excellent Entertainment. And joining me this week is a musician, a curator, a journalist, um, and really just one of the most trusted people, I would say, when it comes to independent music and underground music, and power pop and punk rock and things of that nature. Mr. Jack Rabid, thank you so much for coming to the on the show this week.
Well, thank you for that very generous introduction.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
I'm not sure if I live up to all that, but I'll
Uh,
try.
well, I think that's how people see you. So um, you definitely have a reputation for letting people know what doesn't suck.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
that's
I'm
how I
glad you
feel.
think so. I'm sure I
And
could find people who thought the opposite, but yeah,
yeah, probably, but
taste being what it is.
indeed. Um, so man, let's get into how like where your love of music really started. Um, I know that you're a drummer, and you've been in some bands. Um, so did you initially want to make music?
Oh
Um,
yeah, I was never supposed to be a writer.
right.
I was always supposed to be a musician, which, of course, the if you do the quotient of how much I've done each in my life,
Yeah.
the music has probably been like 2% or 1% or something like that,
Yeah.
and the writing has been the rest. Um, I was very fortunate to get into music. I always liked it from when I was a little boy. I joined the Beatles fan club when I was 6,
Oh, nice.
having
Nice.
at that time had all of their albums up until then that I was aware of.
Yeah.
There was no internet back then, and I was 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for about 2 years there, 2.5 years, everyone knew at birthdays and Christmas what to get me.
Mm.
And every time that I could come up with $2.99, my mother would drive me to Corvettes at the Blue Star Shopping Mall in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and I'd go running for the record department because there was no record stores in 1966, 67,
Yeah.
68. And the record department was really dominated by the Beatles in the opening part where they had the displayed records because they were the hottest thing in the world in the 60s. They're not doing too bad these days either.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'd have my 2.99, and my mother was ready to pay the sales tax because I didn't understand sales tax
Right.
at
That's what's
when I was in kindergarten and first grade. But I'd get there with like a certain album in mind, and then I'd get there and there'd be a brand new one that I didn't know existed, and I go like, I don't know that record. Is that new?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Revolver, never heard of it.
Yeah.
And then I'd ask somebody, and they'd say, "Yeah, that's new." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Is it any good? I don't know." I was like,
Um,
"Should I waste my 2.99 on a record never heard?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's the Beatles."
yeah. Yeah.
Oh well,
So yes.
I'll get. I don't know. I'll get Meet the Beatles instead. That one I've heard. Like we
Right.
were little kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Um.
I think for my third Christmas, I'd gotten the Chipmunks sing the Beatles.
Nice.
My parents bought Chipmunks records for all four of us, and next week we'll all be a year apart
Oh
in
wow.
terms of ages.
Sure.
So we're really close together, me and my three siblings, and I'm the youngest. And they got like on top of Old Smoky and Home on the Range, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and I got I want to hold your hand and that kind of stuff. So I
Yeah.
got
When.
really excited about this album, and my next door neighbor, who was a friend of my brother's, he heard me playing my Chipmunks record one day, and he all but threw up. He was probably like 8 or 9 himself,
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
old. But he said this is the worst thing I've ever had heard. And I said, but it's my favorite record.
Right.
And he said, listen, kid, if you want to hear the real things, I have them next door. Just come with me. And he played me the real versions, and it was like hearing punk rock for
Yeah.
the first time. It was like 10 times louder and 10 times more exciting. So I've been a rock and roll fan ever since that day. His name was Glenn Rager,
Nice.
I think it's Raiger, and I don't think I knew him more than like 4 or 5 times after that. But he ended up playing a massive role in my life. It turned out.
Yeah, for sure. When I was a kid, I had Urban Chipmunk. Um,
Chipmunk
which
Punk.
no, it was actually the Chipmunk sing country songs.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and so the one thing that I remember about that record is they did "Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys,"
Sure,
and
sure, yeah.
Alvin would chime in "Chipmunk" after they say "Cowboys."
Cowboy.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like
Alvin. Okay.
so funny, man. Um,
We all grew up watching the TV show, which is
of
how we ended up with
course,
the albums. I did
yeah,
the same thing with my kids. You know, I'd buy them stuff based on their favorite TV shows, like
yeah.
Yo Gabba Gabba or Paw Patrol or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Yo Gabba Gabba has some amazing music, though.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that didn't hurt.
yeah,
My kids really love music, and that couldn't have hurt at all. You
for
know,
sure.
seeing like the Aquabats or the Shins or
Right.
or Mark Mothersbaugh being a regular on the show. You know, drawing stuff and
Yeah, definitely.
tons of really interesting music.
Oh,
I can still sing the Shin song on it. I was so excited they were
really?
on. Yeah,
That's
like hey,
awesome.
I've interviewed this band. I put them on my cover. You know, I'm
Yeah,
telling my like 4 year old like she's gonna really understand.
yeah. It's funny.
What's a cover? What's a magazine?
Yeah, yeah. What is?
Your daddy does a magazine, and he interviewed that guy.
It's funny because my son actually. I mean, he's 11 at this point, but he kind of gets it that I'm talking to people who are at least semi well known. Um, so that's kind of cool. Like he thinks everybody that I talk to is super famous though, and he thinks I'm kind of famous, and I'm just like, dude,
Well, you are to
he
him.
yeah, he does NBA edits on YouTube, and I think more people know who he is than
Uh,
me.
well,
But
like the chip didn't fall that far from the tree, huh?
yeah, for sure, he's very creative. So,
So the
um,
Shin song was really good too. It went
yeah,
something like, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but it's okay to try again. You know, like
that's awesome.
this excellent, typical Shins, you know, catchy little tune,
Right, right, right.
nice uplifting message, and it was so much better than a lot of the garbage I watched when I was their age. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. The stuff, kids TV and stuff is so much more. Uh, I don't know. I loved Scooby Doo when I was a kid, right? But
oh,
when
it's
I
a good
think about
show.
it now, it's so repetitive. It was the same thing every
Yeah,
single
you
week.
meddling kids.
Yeah,
I
man.
would have gotten away with it every
Same thing, man.
episode, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't for
Scooby
that
and Shaggy
dog.
try to get out of it. They eat a
Yeah,
bunch of food. It's the same
formula.
thing.
It's
Yeah,
formula. Yeah.
yeah. And kids TV is definitely not that anymore. But we did have like the Electric Company, and funky stuff like that every once in a while. So,
That was coming in as I was aging out.
yeah, yeah. I'm 51, so I'm a bit younger than you.
Yeah,
So,
I got 13 years on you.
yeah, there
Although
you
I
go.
used to love regaling my children with tales of the chef on Sesame Street, who would always fall down the stairs with his, chef creations all over his face and stuff like that. That's still kind of my sense of humor. You know, we're talking about kids shows, but you have to be childlike to be a music fan, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Um,
at our advanced ages, we're not usually the people who are still buying lots of records and checking out bands,
yeah,
who are in their teens and 20s making records. You and I are an anomaly, and I think that's great.
yeah,
I think more people should be like us.
definitely. And I mean, there's labels like like Rumbar Records. They put
Sure.
out new
Yeah, we
stuff
review
all the
their stuff.
time.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
review their stuff all the time.
yeah, and they put out new music that I think appeals to older people who like rock and roll. Um,
Yeah, but my kids are proof, that young people can like rock and roll too.
absolutely.
The
Yeah,
only reason they don't is because they never hear it.
right, right.
They have like all the popular music shoved at them all the time, and it's kind of sewn up the entire marketplace of what a young person would think is cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to yuck other people's yum. I don't care for it.
sure.
I try to be a little less dogmatic than when I was 20, just going, that stuff's crap.
Right, right, right.
I still
Yeah,
think it's crap, But I'm more magnanimous about it. Okay, other people like it, I don't. That's to each their own. But
Yeah.
it's a pity that the entire rock and roll genre, which has lasted now since the early '50s and even further back, if you want to talk about its antecedents, really like R&B and boogie
Right.
woogie and all that stuff. We're even going back to like some of the jazz of the '20s. It's all kind of rebel
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
It's all this stuff with like a hot beat,
Yep.
and a kind of up tempo swing and a backbeat in terms when it turns into rock and roll as well. It's really great dance music,
Yeah.
but uh, nowadays all the dance music is drum machine oriented.
Yeah.
It
Fair.
has a linear groove, even though they try to muck with it to make it sound more like a human. It's really too perfect math, and it loses the human element for me. And they've
Yeah.
lost completely in popular music some of the aspects of all those genres I just mentioned. It's
Yeah.
all it's all like rap pop now, and variants of that, and
It is. Yeah. I mean,
it's a
I
pity.
think uh, one of the important things, like with younger kids, like my son's first favorite band was Kiss, and then he started to really get into the Beatles,
Good for him.
and then he
That
started
still
liking,
works.
yeah, yeah, exactly, man. And then he started liking more modern stuff like 21 Pilots and things like that, and now he's sort of, because it's natural, I suppose, moved into like the rap music. But he still loves rock music because I kind of gave him that foundation. Um,
Well,
but he just likes everything now. So
I'll give you a
yeah,
nice caveat too. All hope is not as lost as it used to be.
yeah,
It's the other side of streaming. Like they may foist this popular music on young people, but young people have options now that I didn't and you didn't
yeah,
when they were young
yeah,
because of streaming. And
yeah,
so my kids, even though they're rock fans, 20 years ago, they would have found no one in their high schools that had any interest in any of this stuff. They're like, why do you like that weird garbage? Whereas
right.
now, at the high schools they go to, they find people.
Hmm.
There isn't tons of them by any means, but there are
Yeah,
some people like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Or when Caroline or Jim says, I like this band Sloan, I like this band the
hmm,
Beths, I like
yeah,
this band Always, because they like Jim and they like Caroline, you know, they can just go dip, 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 and they're listening.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
As opposed to
Yeah,
go like it's a bridge too far to ever hear that because I'll never hear it on the radio. I
right,
don't know
right.
anybody else who likes it. How am I ever going to hear it unless I go to your house and you insist on playing it for me, which is the only way you and I had to share the music that we liked if it was not popular music and not on the radio.
Yeah, yeah, like tape trading. A buddy of mine, we used to, if we got new stuff and we liked it, we would record tapes for each other and pass them back and forth,
Yeah,
and that was how
but
we'd learn.
even that's different because it was one extra step.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, now it's just,
I used to hand out punk rock tapes in my high school in the late
yeah,
'70s to people who liked, Dire Straits and the
mm,
Grateful Dead, and
yeah,
you know, trying to think what other the big popular groups were that era. Kansas Sticks, Boston,
yeah, sure.
the Eagles, things like that. And I'd say
Yeah,
like, no, 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 I've got something better for you. Because they'd come around. Why are you dressed
right,
like that? Why
right.
why are you so different? Why are you such an unusual person? We don't have that here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I really don't like you because you're a weirdo, but I am kind of vaguely curious
right,
if you
sure,
want to speak up for yourself. And so
sure.
I'd have these tapes on me, and I'd think, oh, I can make another version of this, or I can dub this. Here, just
Yeah,
take this. It
yeah,
instead of me explaining it to you, just listen to it, see if you like it. And I think probably 8 out of 10 of those people I'd give it to would never play it.
right. But the two people that did,
Yeah, the happy story ends there.
yeah,
They would take the tape because they were too polite, and I don't remember anybody saying, "No, I don't want that." They would
right,
take it, and then, or maybe even some of them thought they might play it, and then they got to home and they're like, "Nah," or they
yeah, yeah,
forgot or something. I'd
yeah.
ask them about it later, like, "Oh, I haven't listened to that." That's how I know they didn't play it.
Right. Yeah, I remember when I was in high school, I had a buddy who was very like his family were actually professors at Cornell University. His parents were, and he was very like upper, uh, in the upper class of if you're doing that kind of thing. But he loved 7 Seconds, and he got a 7 Seconds shirt and he wore it to school, And the skater kids came up to me and they were like, "Oh man, I can't believe my son's actually named after him." But they were like, "I can't believe Casey's posing wearing that 7 second shirt." And I was like, "Look, man, he loves 7 seconds. He played them for me." I was like, "You guys don't understand. Like, just because he comes from a rich family and dresses with button up shirts."
Yeah.
He shows up in a 7 seconds t-shirt and people thought he was faking it. And I was like, no, dude,
No, he's
I
real.
wouldn't know who they were if it wasn't for him. So it
Well,
was
of
kind
course,
of neat.
the upshot too is that punk rock everyone acts now like it was always loved,
Yeah.
and there's 400 books. I seem
Yeah.
to be interviewed 3 or 4 times a year for this book or that book about
Yeah.
my experiences as a teenager, and I'm ready for Social Security, and I'm still talking about being a teenager, and I
Right.
don't mind. I'm not complaining. It was really exciting. It's
Yeah.
like Pavlov's dog. I keep getting to push that button. I get another treat. Oh,
Right.
really? I get to relive all the fun I had back then? Sure. When do we meet up? When do I talk about that?
For sure, man.
But at that time, it was, there was a couple of kids in every town, maybe,
Yeah.
and only the bigger towns. We had a little contingent of about 6 or 7 of us in the town that I grew up in, only because we did it together. We
Yeah.
infected each other. My friend Jeff Hutchinson was kind of like the first guy to hear rumblings of stuff that was going on because he got into David Bowie. And
Right. Sure.
if you start reading about David Bowie, once he got all of us hooked on to David Bowie, you find out the guy was working with Iggy Pop and Lou Reed,
Mhm.
and that they
Yeah.
used to be in these other bands once upon a time, and that then you start trying to find those records and they're hopelessly out of print. There's no
Right.
Stooges or Velvet Underground to be found. You go into 100 record stores and they're like, well, once in a while we see a used copy, but almost never, because even the people who have them are never selling them. They
Yeah.
know those are great records. So you just wander around with Iggy and Lou's solo records that are new, wondering what their old band sounded like, and,
Oh.
and then inspired called punk rock. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
well, that sounds good. I wonder what that is. This really naive exploration by reading interviews and reading magazines into this really secret thing that's happening. And it was
Yeah.
really hard to find. And once you got into it and you started dressing that way and immersing yourself in it, you lost any currency with like 99% of the population, both your own age and older. In
Yeah.
fact,
I
most
mean,
people disrespected you all of a sudden because you turned into a weirdo overnight.
right.
And nobody liked weirdos.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, the only punk rock that I really knew was the Clash. I mean, they were on the radio all the time.
By the 80s, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But see,
mean,
that this is what I'm talking about. Is now I go to my high school reunions. I didn't until I was like, like 10 years ago or so, because I just thought, oh, I don't want to meet those people that treated me so poorly.
sure.
They weren't horrible, and I didn't get beaten up. I wasn't like other punk rockers. It was a little more genteel experience than that. So I don't want to overdo like this great victimhood thing. But on the other hand, they were kind of, as I say, a little bit repulsed and a
Yeah.
little bit
Sure.
kind of suspicious. I think the best word is suspicious. They didn't hate me. They were just like, what is his deal? Why does he do that?
Right. Right.
Why
Right.
does he like all these bands I've never heard of, dress weird, not care what we think about him, which was, I think, the thing they most found suspicious.
Right.
Like, why does our suspicion and our like, kind of vague rejection not bother him? We're in high school after all.
Right. I mean, you're supposed to care. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it because I'd found a whole new group of people that weren't in my high school that I wanted to spend my time with. So it was really easy for me.
Right.
And what I wanted to do was to actually infect all those people and bring them along with me. And as my high school career went on, at the tail end of it, I did make some converts, and they're still
Nice.
friends of mine, all these years later. But when I
And
when I go to my reunions now, they treat me like a hero, and it's bewildering.
yeah.
It's I don't I'm like I'm flattered. I'm a human being, but it's
Right.
really kind of more bewildering. Like, you like me now? You
Yeah.
admire me now? What? Because
Yeah.
there's always the 16 or 17-year-old in you, and you think that's always the way it is going to be. So it cracks me up, and I go, why? Because like, well, you were always talking about these bands, and we heard about them later.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
5, 6 years later, we all heard about the Talking Heads and the Clash and
Yeah.
Devo and all these people. All after
Yeah.
we all graduated, you see.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, that's that guy Jack. He was always on about those
Yeah.
bands, and we just thought he was a freakazoid, basically.
Yeah. I remember when I found out that the Clash wrote Should I Stay or Should I Go? I was like, really?
Yeah,
Because like that song was,
right. And
everywhere.
even then, my classmates, okay, now they like that stuff, but they
Yeah,
didn't go back. I
right.
didn't want them to listen to Should I Stay or Should I Go, even though it was better than other garbage on the radio at the time.
Right,
I wanted them
right.
to listen to Garage Land
Yeah.
and, I'm so bored of the USA and,
Yeah, yeah.
stuff that would really rock their world, not only musically, but lyrically.
Right,
How
sure.
about career opportunities? That was something I needed to hear when I was 16. I
Right.
needed to hear it again when I was 23. I need to hear it now.
Yeah.
Stuff that really cuts through the BS and talks to you, which is what I look for in music to this day.
Right, right, right. And I think, kind of the reason, like like I never associated the Clash with that kind of a song. But they did have that song that was on the radio and everyone heard it.
And
Um
it's not dated, like
no, not at all.
I'm so bored of the USA when he says, "Never mind the stars and stripes, let's play the Watergate tapes."
Yeah.
And here
Yeah.
we are again.
Yeah.
In our current moment, it's like three times Watergate all over again.
Yeah.
And history will not be kind. It's no
No.
solace that eventually people will look back at this era and say, like, why did we put up with this? But
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
all there in the music that I listen to this day. And modern day clashes I listen to.
Yeah.
Billy Bragg is still writing great
Oh,
lyrics.
man.
Joe
Yeah.
Strummer is dead, but he's still doing it.
Yeah.
Jesse Wells, for all the backlash I've heard about him, I think his lyrics are astoundingly great.
Right.
And again, cutting through the BS. He's not my age. I don't have
Yeah.
to listen to an old Dylan record from 1963 or something. I can listen
Right.
to a Jesse Wells record from 2026. Thank you very much. It can be
Yeah.
done, and it's still being done.
Yeah, for sure. For
And,
sure.
and that's
I
what I like about music is that raw honesty, even if it's a love song. Give me some
yeah,
raw honesty. Don't give me the layered on BS.
definitely.
It's like the difference between a bad, terrible rom com and like a Strindberg play or something like that, or a Tennessee Williams play. You can tell the bleep from Shinola.
Yeah, for sure.
At least I can.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And the Clash again. Here I'm 16. I'm listening to Garage Land.
Yeah,
Back in the garage with my bull bleep detector.
yeah,
That is what we need to this day. We all need a bull bleep detector.
yeah,
That
definitely.
in music, in politics, in just like trying to find a trusted news source. It's all of a piece
And
to
it's
me anyway.
tough now.
Oh, it's
Uh,
never been tougher. It's the
yeah,
real quandary of our age that we now are swimming in information that
yeah,
when you and I were young, we had like encyclopedias at the library,
right.
and in like 35 volumes behind us was all they could fit, information. Or you could try to look up a magazine article and try to get the librarian to find you a copy of Fort, I don't know, Time magazine from
Yeah,
1963 or something. It was cumbersome and difficult and nigh impossible, let alone about information about things that are more obscure, that there'd be almost nothing written about. Now there's a
yeah,
Wikipedia page for me, or the
right,
or the big takeover. Would I have
right.
been in the Encyclopedia Britannica? I freaking doubt it.
Probably not. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there's like Wikipedia pages for all kinds of things I'm looking for these days, and it just makes me laugh. There used to be
yeah,
like one paragraph on some famous guy in the encyclopedia.
right.
Now
I
I can read like 40 pages about him.
yeah, I remember having to go to the library and dig out microfiche,
Yeah,
and you'd get the
microfiche.
yeah, you'd match the number with the letter, and then you'd have to go through the film and find
Yeah,
that number and letter and
yeah,
pop it in
on a
the
like
yeah, and you look
illuminated
through it.
screen.
Yeah,
Can I enlarge this? This is too small. I can't read
right,
this.
right, right. You're looking through like a freaking microscope at it, and just it was crazy, man. And
Yeah,
now you
definitely.
just type it into Google and it tells you what you want to know. It's crazy.
I
Um,
think it's amazing. I mean, I think there's 4 or 5 libraries that have every big takeover.
yeah,
But what
that's
was the likelihood that someone was gonna, unless there was some kind of scholar researching a book, was gonna go to the New York Public Library and put in a request for issue 47 of my magazine? You know,
right.
more
Right.
likely to. Fortunately, in case of my magazine, you can order the back issues, unlike most
Yeah,
that go back that far. So you for $7, you can just buy the original damn magazine and not have to read it in the stacks
yeah,
or whatever it is you're looking for. But nowadays, because of all the finder's aids, if you are a scholar, you could access that collection and every other fanzine they might have, or magazine they might have, or book they might have, and get at what you need quickly. And yet here we are, the stupidest people on earth,
right, right,
susceptible to both misinformation and disinformation, which are
right.
two different things. One is bad enough, the other one's sinister.
Yeah, yeah. I remember speaking of the susceptibility of human beings, right? I was working as an overnight cashier at a gas station during the pandemic, and someone came in with a video of the Russians letting lions out into the street to eat people who were infected with COVID. It was from a movie.
Yeah, people believe that shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this
Oh,
guy was
sorry.
showing it to me like, oh no, actually, you can curse. I
Okay,
didn't
I
know if
won't
that
say
was something
bleep
you
anymore
didn't.
then.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was you personally not wanting to curse, but
No, I was
cursing is
trying to be within
complete,
FCC.
completely fine. Yeah, we're on YouTube and Spotify, man. So, no
I I
worries.
get carried away. I use too many 4-letter words. I
Yeah,
apologize. I shouldn't.
it's all good, man. Um, Depending on the guest, this place
Mm,
can be pretty blue.
right.
But yeah, he's showing me these people getting eaten by lions and freaking out, like
Yeah.
we have to go to Russia and stop this. And I'm just like, dude.
See, there's a brand new song by the Blackwatch, like
Hmm.
2026. Again, I don't have to go back to like Woody Guthrie here
Yeah, yeah,
in the 1930s.
yeah.
It's called, I think, Some People Will Believe Anything These Days. It's the
Mm,
title of the song, let alone the lyrics.
sure,
And the
sure.
Blackwatch are nobody's idea of a political band.
Yeah,
But if you're an honest songwriter, you just can't help yourself but reflecting what you're seeing around you
right.
when you don't feel like writing a relationship song about your ex-girlfriend from 30 years ago,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Have
or
you
30 minutes ago.
have you heard the new have you heard the new Deer Boys?
Oh yeah, Tony just sent me the new single.
Yeah, it's great. The
Yeah.
Shin that I was just thinking about what you said about that Shin song, and I
Hmm.
mean it's it says fuck quite a bit in the song, but the new Dear Boys song is great, man. Very uplifting and like
I've known Tony Fletcher for like 40 years. He's one of the
awesome.
true good guys
Yeah,
of the last 40 years in the like music game as a journalist and musician and all around like guy you want to run into at a gig.
yeah. I like reading his Substack. I get
Yeah.
it
Well,
delivered.
let,
So
let me say this about Tony. If you go to a gig and you're hoping it's going to be good, and then
yeah,
you see him over on the right, and you head over there, the gig just got better.
nice, nice. That's awesome, man. That's
Now
awesome.
whatever you get from the stage is going to just make it that much better.
Nice, nice.
Those are the people that keep me coming back to live music, much as I don't mind going to a gig by myself and just taking in the band and going home. As you
Yeah,
can probably tell, I'm a fairly social animal.
yeah, yeah. I can get that.
Hmm.
Um,
I like
so
talking to people and exchanging information and ideas
yeah, I
and
mean
a
that's
laugh.
what it's all about, man.
As the British say, I laugh. A laugh. I like having a laugh.
Yeah. And
It's
everyone talks like that now. My son says a bit, and I actually say a bit now too, which I would have never said when I was a kid. But
uh,
the internet has caused that stuff to happen. We're all
right.
international at this point. But
As long as we can understand each other.
yeah, right. So we started just kind of having a conversation, but I did want to go back to like, how did your love of music turn into you actually playing music and learning the drums and joining bands and all that kind of stuff?
Well, Ringo Starr is the reason I'm a drummer.
Okay.
I got to see the Beatles on the TV as a kid because they were constant presences on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And because it was like their most popular broadcast I'd ever had, even more than Elvis Presley. I even got to see the February '64 appearance on rerun.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
awesome.
probably when I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
And being a really little kid, I'm watching these guys play guitars and bass and drums, and the drummer looked like he was having the most fun.
yeah, yeah. That
And
is one thing about Ringo. When he was playing the drums, he always looked so happy. When he
yeah.
wasn't playing the drums, he looked ridiculously depressed. But
Or whimsical, like
yeah,
in the
sure.
in those Get
There's,
Back films. He's like,
I,
"Hi, Paul. Hi,
yes,
John," and
yeah,
they're all like, "Oh, it's Ringo. How sweet." You see a completely different side of his personality in that, which is why I enjoyed watching that.
yeah. It was good.
It
I
did
didn't
so it's
understand.
it did sort of rehabilitate the image of Ringo to me as being a lot more fun than you thought he was.
Yeah, yeah.
He
I
was
didn't.
he was by far the most fun guy in that band.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it seemed like obviously at that point at least, John and Paul were very serious and clashing a bit, and George was just like, "Oh, if you guys keep fighting, I'm leaving." And Ringo's
Yeah,
just like, "I want to play some drums." Like that was kind
right.
of you know.
But
But
that's the thing is even when they were clashing, he was still fun.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So you can imagine how much fun he was when the band was getting along great.
Right, right.
In the Revolver and the Sergeant Pepper sessions,
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
They
I
must have had a blast having him as a drummer first for his talent, and
yeah,
then secondly for his ability to make people laugh. It's a great
absolutely.
skill when you're in the studio because
Yeah,
you're so laser focused on take 26.
right, right.
Plus is like that when he yells, "I've got blisters on my fingers," because they
It's
made him
awesome.
made him slam the freaking drums for like 24 minutes at a time. What
Right.
is this?
Yeah,
Jazz proto metal? Like he's gotta hit that hard without break for 24 minutes.
yeah. Insane.
It's just
Um,
funny that that's what he said, like, ah.
and then they kept it.
Yeah,
Like
and then George Martin was like, "Oh, we're keeping that."
yeah, wow.
We're still, I'm sure Ringo had no idea they would because they thought the take was over.
Right. Um, I didn't like. Do you remember the mashed potato thing in that video or in that movie?
I only watched half of it,
Okay, so there's a point where
believe it or not.
they're all ordering dinner,
Yeah.
and Ringo orders a big bowl of mashed potatoes, and Paul's like, "Oh, Richie, don't do it, Richie." I don't get it. Like, what is wrong with Ringo ordering a big bowl of mashed potatoes? I just,
I don't know. They weren't too worried about starches in
yeah,
1969.
yeah. So I didn't understand like why he didn't
Oh,
want him to
Ringo,
get the
that's way too much
potatoes.
starch. You'll
Yeah,
regret it later.
yeah. You're just gonna eat. Maybe it's just you're just eating potatoes, like everyone else is ordering actual food, and he's just like, "I want a big bowl of mashed potatoes." He's like, "Don't do it, Richie." I just like didn't get it,
Yeah.
but
It doesn't. Most of the time, they seem like they ate like tea and toast
yeah.
or something. I don't know. But they were recording late, so they probably had eaten a fair amount before they showed up the studio anyway.
Right, sure.
But the music thing was a bad decision, I should say. I should never have been a drummer. I didn't know. I picked the worst instrument of all time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I
So,
the 6-year-old to me is apologizing to the older me constantly for that one. Do you know there's a Beth, here we go again, a Beth song only a couple years ago called Future Me Hates Me.
okay.
It's a relationship song that she keeps falling for the same, snares in men.
Yeah.
And she already knows that she's making a mistake, but she can't help herself. So future me hates me.
Mhm.
In my case, future me hates the 6-year-old who falls in love with Ringo Starr as a drummer and wanting to be a drummer myself because it's the only instrument where you don't play notes of the Western scale.
Sure. Sure.
So people will say to me something like, "Hey, do you know this song?" And I go, "Yeah, I know it. What do you want to hear the rhythm?"
Right. Right.
What else can I offer you
Right.
unless I do the vocals?
Yeah.
Every other instrument, can play a B flat and
Sure.
a C minor and a B and a D. I don't know a single chord on any instrument other than playing like one note piano. I know all those notes. Doesn't get me
Yeah.
very far. So I regret being a drummer. Having
Yeah.
said that, when I do play the drums in bands, in concert or in recordings, I'm having a whale of a time. I
Yeah,
wasn't
for sure.
wrong that it's fun to play the drums. And the better
Yeah.
you get at it, the more fun you have because then you start really understanding your place and how you fit with the rest of the band, and that's your job.
Right.
So that part, it's a nice, it's come a humble thing, unless you're like Keith Moon or Rat Scabies or Chuck Biscuits,
Mm.
and you have this like massive ego that wants to overwhelm every song and yet make it exciting as a result, and we benefit from it. Uh, Most drummers, their idea is to try and do that within the context of the song itself,
Yeah.
like Ringo did. He plays some really exciting stuff at times on like Rain or some of the fills that he would do in various songs. Just really,
Sure.
but they fit. They
Yeah,
fit
absolutely.
perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite drummers is Chad Smith. Um,
Wow, 60s.
what's that? No, Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of Chaz Smith, I think.
Oh. just but just because he always no matter what band he's playing in or what style it is or whatever, he uh he just plays the song,
Uh huh.
you know?
Yeah, that's what a
Um
drummer should do.
yeah.
You should make the song better, and you should give it the foundation that other people can work off.
Yeah.
Once you get the idea, the feel of the song, and what it demands, and that's for me. The Ringo is the ultimate job of that. I think he's the greatest drummer that ever lived because of that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
might enjoy Keith Moon more, but Keith, can you imagine Keith Moon playing on some of those quieter Beatles songs, or like,
Right, right.
let me see him do a nice samba rhythm,
Yeah,
They
for
ain't gonna
sure.
work. Although, having said that, when the Who started and they were more of a pop group, like a power pop group, somehow he managed to do right by those songs anyway, even though he was
Right.
a freaking powerhouse, exploding kettle back there. He just,
Yeah, but I mean, his drums always sounded big,
yeah.
regardless. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like "So Sad About Us" is just a pop song,
yeah,
and he doesn't go, hog wild bananas like he did on some songs later, and yet
right.
he's still this like overwhelming engine. So I don't
Yeah,
want to talk down Keith as being like incapable
right,
of
sure.
altering his playing to the song. I don't mean that at all. It's just that a lot of times you notice him, and sometimes there's Beatles songs you don't notice Ringo at all.
Oh, for
He's
sure.
there, you don't notice him. He melts into the song so well. That is really an amazing skill to me.
Yeah, I remember a buddy of mine who I used to work with, who's just a massive Beatles fan,
Yeah.
and we were talking about the Get Back documentary and how there was a point where Paul got on the drums and he was just like rocking out, and uh they did the big jam, and Paul was really going at it, and he said there was an interview where someone asked, I think it was either John or Paul, if Ringo was the best drummer in the world, and they said he's not even the best drummer in the Beatles, and
And then
I
he
would,
years later he denied saying that, and I know
oh
they don't think that's true.
yeah, I was gonna say I hope that that's not the case
No, when,
because
when Ringo quit in the middle of the White Album
yeah,
sessions, they begged him to come back.
yeah, yeah,
They begged him to join the band in the first place because he
right,
was the best drummer in Liverpool.
right,
And when he'd sat in with the band, it was so bloody obvious to them from
yeah,
before he joined that he was a quantum leap every time Pete Best got sick.
right, right,
You know, Pete
yeah,
Pete Best was like the Wally Pipp, if you know the reference in baseball. Wally Pipp got a headache in 1925 and
okay,
missed a game, and they had this young guy named Lou Gehrig,
oh sure,
and they
sure,
they stuck him in because Wally, who was an all star, mind you,
yeah,
a really great player. That's been lost to history. That he would the idea of Wally Pipp losing his job because he got a headache one day.
right,
But Lou Gehrig is like the greatest first baseman of all time. Nobody knew it in 1925. And
yeah,
Ringo, sitting in for Pete Best, because Pete Best got sick a few times, everybody in the Beatles had to know straight away, like, wow,
yeah,
this is really something. So, of course, when it became time to fire Pete, there's other drummers in Liverpool that were good.
right, right,
Why did they actually go all the way to the holiday camp on the the English Channel? They had to go all the way from Liverpool to the English Channel to
yeah,
in person beg him to his face and like go right by Rory and say, Rory Storm, can you please let your drummer go? Can you be nice about it?
Right, right. Because he was really a skiffle player, right? Like he
No,
was. No,
no,
that was.
no.
See, so the stories
All,
are.
all, all the band, all the guys had started out kind of in the skiffle scene because that's what you
Yeah,
did in 1957.
sure, sure.
But once they heard Elvis Presley,
Okay.
once they got a little bit older, because remember in 1957, even John Lennon is 17,
Right,
and he started a skiffle band. He's not even finished what we would call high school. He's
right,
basically either a sophomore or a junior, and so is uh, Ringo, although he hasn't in the band yet. They're both born in 1940, and then
right,
Paul, he's 15, and George is 14
right.
when
They're
they all
kids.
when they end up joining the Quarrymen. They're little kids.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
playing, Rock Island Line by Lonnie Donegan, basically a cover of Appalachia. They all thought they were
Right.
like from West Virginia or Tennessee or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you boys from the docks of Liverpool, or actually in their case, the suburbs of Liverpool.
yeah.
Yeah, you're really steeped in, like Appalachia.
Right. The hills.
Yeah, you're ready to play, I guess what Bill Monroe, is that his name, or the Carter
Oh yeah,
family?
sure. Yeah. The
Is that
bluegrass
you're
band.
ready to play some bluegrass and some
Yeah.
some like train songs from the hillbillies. But that I if I was 15, 16 in England in 1957, that would have appealed to me a lot more than popular music.
Sure.
You
Sure.
know, like the White Cliffs of Dover or something like that, or We'll Meet Again. Don't know where, don't know when.
Right.
That was basically what music was in England at that time. So the young people wanted some young people music.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, at least bluegrass and things of that nature are quicker. There's a little more energy to it
Yeah,
than
yeah,
than the
and
White
again,
Cliffs
a
of
lot more
Dover.
direct, a lot
Yeah.
more honest, a
Yeah.
lot less BS, a
Yeah.
lot
For
less
sure.
showbiz.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were just picking up their instruments. John Lennon barely knew how to play the guitar. The
Right.
reason why Paul McCartney joined is because he walked backstage the first time he saw the Quarrymen, got introduced by a mutual friend, grabbed a guitar and started playing 20 Flight Rock by Eddie Cochran. So they
Nice.
were aware of rock and roll too.
Right.
They probably thought it was too hard or something.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
John goes like, "Oh yeah, you're a better guitar player than me. You want to join my band?" And next thing Paul is going like, "Well, I got this other mate that I'd like to have join." And Paul is like, and John is like, "Well, it's bad enough I'm playing with a 15-year-old.
right.
I'm not having a 14-year-old join too. What kind of joke is that?" So
Well,
so so Paul has to like finagle a thing where they're on a double-decker bus, and he just kind of slips George onto the bus carrying a guitar.
yeah.
And John's like, "Oh, really? Really? You know, you corner me on a bus, and now I have to. Okay, all right, play already." And he plays Raunchy, one of the old Sun Records things by Billy
Yeah.
Justice. And again, he's also better than John. So he's like, fuck me, I gotta have you in the band too.
That's
And
awesome.
and then other members of the Quarrymen start dropping out, and they start playing more rock and roll. And I think in 1958, Cliff Richard has his first blockbuster rock and roll hit, which was
Yeah.
"Move It." I played a live version of it on my show this week,
Nice.
and
Nice.
much later, John Lennon admitted that was the first British record they'd ever heard that did it for them. So they
Wow.
didn't have to, buy Little Richard records and Gene Vincent
Right.
records and Eddie Cochran records and hope to one day see those people play, because it's not like they were seeing them on the telly. They could see Cliff Richard on the telly.
Yeah.
He was on the BBC. They could see it. He had like the Elvis Pompadour kind of thing going, and he was like 18, 19 years old, and he was, sex on a stick if you were a girl.
Right. Sure. And
Yeah. And he
that's
was
what that's rock and roll. I mean,
and he was backed by what morphed into the Shadows. So there
Oh,
you've got like,
nice.
this twangy rock and roll like Link Ray kind of guitar player
Yeah.
sound mixed with a little bit of proto surf.
Right. Right.
So
I
all these weird elements are going by, and this is how they formed their band.
nice.
And I'm the same way. Only I got to hear rock and roll as a younger age, and it was my heritage.
Yeah.
By Beatlemania anyway, when it got restored in early '64, it wasn't just like Paul Revere and the Raiders and the Sonics and the Northwest Wailers and the
Yeah.
Kingsmen, people like that, still keeping the, you know, the fires burning in their own little corner of the country or something. Rock and roll was back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like speaking of Paul Revere and the Raiders, I mean, I don't know a ton of their stuff, but Kicks is a fantastic song.
Oh yeah, and
Uh,
they got even better when they started writing their own ones too.
yeah.
Much
I
like
mean,
the Beatles and the Rolling
yeah.
Stones.
Sure,
You know,
sure, sure.
they started off doing covers, and the second that they got a record deal and started writing their own songs, they proved they could write even better songs than the ones they were covering.
Right. Um,
And the you know the I guess it's the I think it's the Wailers and then the Raiders that is the reason why we know Louie Louie before the Kingsmen did it, because Kingsmen
sure.
heard those bands do it.
It's
Or else we wouldn't know this really obscure R&B song by a guy named Richard Berry, even though Richard Berry was awesome.
yeah.
And these are the deep dive rabbit holes that I've been going in my whole life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, did you always have? I mean, you're a wealth of information. So, like,
Because I care.
yeah,
I don't remember what I had for breakfast 2 days ago.
yeah,
I can tell you, like 10 or 12 Larry Williams songs that I insist that you listen to.
man.
And that's the way my brain works. I care a lot more about, Larry Williams' song Short Fat Fanny
Hmm. Sure, sure.
than I do about, I guess I had a bowl of cereal on Monday. I think
Don't know
so.
what kind it was, but it had milk in
Yeah.
it.
My brain works that way. If something excites me, I internalize it,
Right,
which
right.
is, I think, healthy. Again, we're talking
Yeah,
about how you keep your childlike enthusiasm. It's Childlike enthusiasm means you need to find stuff you're passionate about.
yeah.
We could have long conversations about my other interests like American history, or I was an economics major at NYU.
Okay.
We could talk a lot about the economic scene now because this stuff interests me. I don't know anything about ballet. I
Right,
couldn't
right.
talk about that at all because it's not my passion.
Yeah,
I'm as ignorant as the next idiot, basically, on many a subject.
right. But I mean, I personally feel like I know a bit about music, but then I talk to someone like you, and it's just like I don't know anything. You
Well,
know?
I can introduce you to people who do that to me.
Yeah. Wow.
I think they have a very pleasant form of Asperger's or something.
Sure. Sure.
'Cause they and often they're more specialists. Like if the subject is punk, they can tell you the third bassist of the Plugs.
Right. Right. Wow.
I Once upon a time I could, but I didn't retain it, and they still
Yeah.
remember it.
Yeah. Man.
Every lineup of the Flyboys or something like that. These bands that no one else cares about but me and maybe
Right.
you. But
Yeah. Maybe.
I mentioned Larry Williams because this is what I'm talking about. Where kids today have this information. We don't have
Yeah.
to be stupid.
Yeah.
We don't have to fall for disinformation and misinformation. We can actually, at our fingertips, in seconds, find the answer to almost every question that ever hits our brain. Whereas
Right.
when I've told this story before, but when I was a little boy with all my Beatle records, I started at some point looking at the songwriters.
Sure.
Okay, Lennon and McCartney I know, and Harrison I know. Who's this guy, C. Berry?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
funny to think there was ever a time in my life I
You
didn't
didn't
know
know
who
who
Chuck
Chuck
Berry
Berry
was.
was. Yeah.
But I wasn't born out of the womb going like, yeah, man, like Little Queenie kind of sucks, but Johnny Be Good really kicks some ass.
Right.
That doesn't work that way. You take in the world as it comes, and I was able to find Chuck Berry records and Buddy Holly records, B. Holly.
Yeah.
And at some point, I realized who R. Penniman was. That's Little Richard. So
Sure.
somebody told me. I went
Sure.
into a record store and said, I see two songs they've covered that says L. Penniman. I
Yeah.
just
Who
figured
is
it was
this?
a songwriter guy,
Right.
you know. But the most interesting one was L. Williams. There were three of them.
Okay.
Three L. Williams. Like
L. Dot
maybe
Williams.
he's a songwriter. Again,
Yeah.
I have no idea. Is he white? Is he black? You know,
Right.
did he make records himself, this L. Williams? And nobody knew who I was talking about. It's
Yeah.
so weird. The Beatles did three of his frickin' songs and released them in real time, and nobody could tell me about this guy because he'd sort of came and gone by the time I was looking for his records in the late
Sure.
70s.
Sure.
By the time I was old enough to like want to get some of these records myself.
So did you ever find out who he was?
Yeah, eventually you were gonna.
Yeah.
The only people I could ask were people at record stores, and a lot of people who worked at record stores were more into the modern sound.
Right.
I
Sure.
find I finally went into the right store. It was this one, I think it was called Golden Disc.
Okay.
And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, yeah, you want Larry Williams?" I go, "I do." Do you know where I can
That's
find one
awesome.
of do you know where I can find one of his records? He goes, "Oh, I think we've got one because there was one that got put out fairly recently." I go,
Okay.
"Wow, is he still alive?" He goes, "No, he isn't. He's been dead for
Oh,
years." I'm
yeah.
like, "Well, hey, don't yell at me. I
Yeah.
didn't even know who he was until 25 seconds ago, right?"
Right. 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 Yeah. I
So, so,
remember.
so
Oh,
he marches me over to the bin,
yeah.
and we look, and here's a record on Specialty, which was amazingly his original label. Like
Okay.
20 years later,
Wow.
there's a version of Specialty, and they're putting out a record in this case called the unreleased Larry Williams.
Oh,
So I couldn't even start with the
like the
recordings.
hits. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he only made one album back then and a
Okay.
sling of singles. So a nice compendium now would be, like all of the original Larry Williams from the Specialty era before he reinvented himself in the 60s as kind of like a funk rocker with Johnny Guitar Watson. A totally separate period that has almost nothing to do with his 50s stuff. But again, another rabbit hole if you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
go that way. But I was on the first rabbit hole. I wasn't going down the tangents yet. I
Right.
didn't know who Johnny Guitar Watson was yet, and I got like five of his CDs now.
Nice. Nice.
It all just keeps, connecting the dots, connecting the dots.
Yeah.
When we were little kids, where we had like 1 through 20, and you did a rabbit, or you did a snail or something. And
Yeah.
modern rabbit holes are like to connect the dots from 0 to 400. Man, it's just
Right. Sure.
there's endless tangents to other animals. So
Yeah.
I actually got to hear a version of Bad Boy, which is one of the ones that the Beatles covered, but it was an outtake, and it was totally different than the one the Beatles knew from the
Sure.
single.
Sure.
So it
Sure.
took me still a lot longer to see how they were relating to a different version. And that unreleased version of Bad Boy from
Uh-huh.
Larry Williams' unreleased record, you can find it on YouTube now. You have to do a search because it
So
has to
crazy.
it has to say alternate version,
Right.
and it's not as powerful and thick and as quite as exciting as the one they released. It's
Mhm.
faster, crazier, more manic. It's freaking nuts.
That's crazy.
And at one point, he just where the band stops and he gets to say something like "scream" or something. He goes, "Now, where in the world did I put my strap?"
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
wow, I'm sure they weren't going to put that on the finished
Yeah,
version,
for sure. Yeah.
because he's a bad boy and he needs to be, spanked with a strap.
Right.
In the 1950s, what we did with children, this whole thing gets more complicated and more interesting.
Yeah.
The historian in me takes over from the music fan in that case. Now, why would he sing that, and what does it mean?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
well, I was spanked as a child in the '60s, but not with a strap, with a
Yeah.
a paddle from those little games where the ball would be on a string off the
Oh,
paddle.
sure.
We
Yeah.
we learned after a while to stop playing with those games so the ball wouldn't fall off anymore,
Right.
and we
Yeah, because when
wouldn't
the
be
ball
paddling.
falls off, you got a weapon.
Yeah,
So
my
it's like,
mother broke a paddle over my brother Steve's butt.
yeah. Yeah.
We're like, he's like screaming. He's like 6, 7 years old or whatever.
Yeah. My mom went through wooden spoons. That was her.
Yeah. I ain't
Yeah.
spanking no kids. Sometimes
Nah.
I kid him about it. Sometimes like, now if I was your dad in 1966, or something, I'd say, Mom, go spank those kids with a
Yeah.
paddle. And then we just laugh because the likelihood is like, that's never happening.
Yeah, for sure. It's a different world, man.
Different world. And I wouldn't say I'm mad at my parents because that's what a lot of parents did in those days. But
Right. They didn't,
I think that's effed up. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to say effed in this case because that's the word I want to use. That's effed
It-
up. Sorry,
yeah.
mom and dad. And it makes me wonder what I'm doing now that my kids will look back at me 40 years ago and say, like, this is what my dad used to do, and that's effed up.
Yeah, man. I wonder.
I,
Hopefully, not a lot.
hopefully, but again, I'm doing what I think is best. Who
Yeah.
knows what we're going to look back on and say that's wrong. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have done that.
Um, it's funny, like so just a few years ago, right? I heard Juke Joint in my house, and I had always known Little Milton as kind of like a smooth R&B because that was what was pushed, you know.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and man,
Another
that
rabbit hole.
song,
Another
yeah, that
rabbit hole.
song just sent me, and I had the internet, so I was like, he had so many like cool, like raw, like just bluesy stomps. Like I had no idea, you know. So
You've got it exactly.
yeah,
There are a lot of Larry Williams and Little Milton moments for people if they'll only seek them out. And now
yeah,
you have the means.
yep,
Like we were
yeah. Now
talking
it's
about with
right.
my kids, if they want to share music with their friends, it's done instantaneously. No tapes, no giant searching through every record store and with the slightest knowledge about something. Uh,
Right.
Once you find out that Little Milton isn't what you thought he was, then suddenly you can hear his whole catalog.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
single Larry Williams song from the specialty era, Short Fat Fanny, Bad Boy, Dizzy Miss Lizzy, Slow Down. God, there's so many incredible
Yeah.
ones, and those are
Yeah.
even just the better known ones.
Right.
Boney Maroney, the Who used to cover that. This guy
Yeah.
was a genius.
Yeah.
99% of the world doesn't even know his name to
Right.
this
Right.
day.
Right. Right.
Arthur Alexander. How many Arthur Alexander songs do the Beatles cover?
Yeah.
I admit I was a Beatle obsessive as a kid, so for me
Right.
it was an initial rabbit
Yeah.
hole. My youngest rabbit holes. I go on different ones nowadays. But even 99% of the public has no idea what Pink Floyd sounded like when Sid Barrett was the leader of the band. They
Weird.
don't know what Fleetwood Mac sounded like when Peter Green was the leader of the band.
Yeah. 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 Sure.
Uh, and these are some of the most famous bands in the world. They don't even
Right.
go in the rabbit holes of the easiest, like low hanging fruit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just going to play Dark Side of the Moon and Rumors for the next 50 years, even if they're our age. And
Right.
they're missing out on some of the finest records that I've ever heard. In case of Piper at the Gates of Dawn,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's a lot of things like that. Like maybe if they heard it, it would be their Little Milton moment.
Right.
Like
Right. Or I
wow,
mean,
wow, I really love See Emily Play. It sure doesn't sound at all like the Pink Floyd I've heard.
right.
And
Sure.
maybe that'll lead them to the Pretty Things, who had the same producer and were working the same studio at the same time.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace, Norman Hurricane Smith,
Yeah.
who was the Beatles' engineer on all their records up through Rubber Soul. Again, the connections of these dots are fascinating to me.
Right. Sure. Sure. I found a Deviants record at Goodwill a few years ago.
That Mick Farron's band?
Man, I really don't know because it was just it looked almost bootleg.
Yeah.
Uh,
Were
but it
they a
sounds like
Detroit band?
no, they're from England.
Okay.
It
Trying to.
sounds like 13th floor elevators, but like
Oh,
if they
excellent.
were insane. It's like it's the weirdest, like
Yeah, Mick Farron's band.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah, yeah, I
I just
remember
looked it
that
up.
name. Yeah, okay. Okay.
I think after we've finished here, I'll go watch this video I see here from Hyde Park in '69
Okay.
because I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
live footage from Hyde Park. It's almost always great.
Okay. Yeah, actually, so I remember when I got the CD, looking up the people in the band, and that guy, yeah, Mick
Mick
Farron, yeah,
Farron,
he's
yeah.
definitely in the band. Yeah, yeah,
He,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think he used to do some music journalism when I
Okay.
was a kid, like when I was a teenager. No, I should
Yeah.
differentiate the, the little me, being a Beatles obsessive and being a teenager and getting into
Right.
punk and like always scarfing up every single bit of music journalism I could find because it was the only way to
Sure.
find out about music back then.
Sure. Sure.
Since they
Yeah. I
weren't
mean,
playing, since they weren't playing any of it on the radio that I was interested in.
right. You get a stack of magazines and you figure out,
Yeah, I was
figure out
stunned
what sounds good.
the first time I heard Blondie on like normal radio. I was floored. Like, really?
Right.
You guys
Right.
know they exist?
Yeah. And I mean, at least we had Night Flight, right?
Well,
Yeah.
there again, if you were enterprising and diligent, you could find sources. For
Yeah.
me, I stumbled on in early '79. I stumbled on a college station
Hmm.
called WSOU at
Okay.
Seton Hall University. There's only a few towns over from where I was living,
Sure.
and they only had two DJs I liked. Everyone else I hated.
Nice.
Because when
Nice.
you're young, they're either playing music you like or they're not, and they're part of the
Yeah, sure.
problem. You're
Sure.
such you're much more dogmatic. I
Yeah.
was so hungry for this stuff that anybody who played it was a hero. And so, shout out to Marty Bike, who's still with us. I don't know if Daniel Martin Cooney is, but if he is, shout out to him too,
Yeah.
because uh, they played records I knew and they played records I didn't. But and they also played records by bands whose name I'd come across. But again, how was I ever going to hear them?
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
I had like 400 bands names in my head, having never heard them. Like,
Right.
what does Grupo Sportivo sound like?
Right.
What does
Right.
Ten Huey sound like? I have no idea. They're both from the same town. They're both from Ohio. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's going
Yeah.
on in Ohio? I think I've heard like one Perubu record
Oh, wow.
at that juncture. But
Right. Sure.
my reading was so further ahead from my listening because it was so hard to hear this stuff. And
Yeah.
again, nowadays, bing, 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 bing. I just
Yeah.
mentioned
You
some
can.
bands, and if people want to hear what they sound like, they can. And maybe they're like, yeah, I don't like it. A lot of the stuff that I heard when I finally heard it that I'd read about, like, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't like that. I don't like that either. But now at least I know.
Now at least, yeah, right. Now at least you're like, okay,
Yeah,
I can move
what does
on.
Blotto sound like? Oh,
Right.
I don't like that.
Right.
I want to be a lifeguard apparently isn't for me.
Yeah.
But for I'd be reading about this stuff for months.
Yeah.
And then I started reading the more obscure West Coast magazines slash and Search and Destroy. And oh my God, was it hard to hear any of that stuff.
Right. Sure. Sure.
As it is, those bands were only putting out like one single. So good luck finding it.
Right. Right.
Until Bleecker Bob started carrying some of that stuff in his store on McDougal Street, we were just shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Like, who are the Dills? Who are the Avengers? Who are the Weirdos?
Oh, man.
They sound very exciting in this print,
Right.
but I have no idea. They could be really great. They could be just boring as sin, or they could
Yeah.
be making music that just is over my head or under my head.
It's funny because I remember so back home in Ithaca, I'm from Ithaca, New York. There was a, a, a record store downtown and a tape store, record store, and in the metal section, there was always a Germs tape, a Circle Jerks tape, and a Cramps tape.
In the metal section,
They were in the metal
the
section.
Cramps, heavy metal.
Yeah, yeah, it was insane. I don't know how they got over there, but I would look at them every time I was in there buying my metal tapes and be like, maybe I should check these bands out.
Yeah,
But I could never find anything out about them.
because when I hear "Garbage Man" by the Cramps, I think Iron Maiden.
Right.
Yeah. Do you
Eventually,
understand? I'm the garbage man.
hey. But
That's
yeah,
just
eventually,
that's just too funny. I hope
yeah,
some
yeah,
metalhead bought one of those records. Is like, what
I'm
the hell is
sure.
this?
Especially like, uh, what was it? Oh man, the yellow tape with the drawing on it with the guy with the spiked up hair.
Sure, yeah, that was song. That was a greatest hits collection,
Okay,
right?
I
Pretty sure.
I don't know. I just remember that Cramps. Uh, I picked up that tape many times because it looked like it could be metal. Like
Yeah,
just
that was a good overview.
yeah.
You know,
But
some greatest hits collections are better than others, and that was a pretty succinct one.
yeah. But eventually, I heard Bikini Girls with Machine Guns on Night Flight, and I was like, okay, these guys are different, but this isn't bad.
Yeah.
But
Talk
yeah,
about an interesting rabbit hole band too, because the Cramps did the most obscure covers you've ever heard.
yeah,
I mean, the world has come to understand Goo Goo Muck thanks to
right,
that Wednesday
right,
thing.
right.
But it's not like people are going out and buying the Gay Lads single,
Sure,
or
sure.
Ronnie Cook and the Gay Lads or whatever. I have a copy.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
But people, that's I guess what differentiates me from other people. It doesn't make me better than them, but once I get a bee in my bonnet, as they used to
you,
say,
yeah,
once I get a curiosity, I want to say it.
right, right.
If I love a song and I find out it's a cover, I'm like,
You
well,
want to
now
hear
I'm
the
really
original?
curious.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
in
mean,
those days, if I wanted to hear it, I had to buy it.
yeah,
Nowadays, I wouldn't buy a Ronnie Cook and the Gay Lad single. What do I need it for? I can
right,
listen to it 25 times in a row for free.
right, right.
As long as the streaming era continues, uh, as long as they don't take free streaming away, which they may someday, you never know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah,
Then we have 5 billion songs we can listen to if we want to. I thought it was that Cramps collection was called Bad Music for Bad People, right?
it is.
I'm looking it up.
It is. That is the name. Yes, that's what it was. It
Let's
was bad
see.
music for bad people. I couldn't remember if it was bad music for bad people or good music for bad people. But
Yeah,
yeah,
here it was actually it was their second one. I didn't realize there was one before that. I must have
okay,
that too, because
yeah,
this one was from '84.
yeah.
I'm
But
trying to find trying the track listing on it because it was a really good collection of
sure,
stuff I knew already. I
sure.
didn't really have a need for this stuff, but I'd find it in the used bin. See, it opens with Garbage Man. Then goes into New Kind of Kick with that great lyric, like Sally needs dick. I
Yes.
need a new kind of kick.
Awesome,
I said, you can
awesome.
sing that? I'm like, well, of
Yeah,
course you can. Dick is a guy's name.
hey, I remember. So I was listening to Brick by Brick. Get off my dick, but I was listening to that album, and Butttown came on, and my son hated it
Right.
so much because he didn't
Yeah.
understand what he was saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, "Dad, this is the dumbest music I've ever heard in my life," and I was like, "It's really not,
Yeah.
dude." But
I
yeah, he
like it
was.
better when it's clever and double entendre.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna go there, I love that old blues song, Backdoor Man.
Oh, sure,
The
yeah,
little girls understand.
yeah, they do.
Well,
Or-
I mean, in a still kind of raunchy but more innocent
yeah,
idea, a backdoor man was the guy having an affair with your wife
yeah,
or your
absolutely.
girlfriend. He
Yeah,
goes
I
out
mean
the back
that's
door when you come home. Like, oh shit, I
right.
gotta get out of
Get
here.
out of here. Yeah,
He goes out
yeah,
the back door. So I mean, to me,
absolutely,
that's a really interesting double entendre if you're gonna
for sure.
sing the so many rock and roll and blues and R&B songs are really funny that way. They make
Right,
sex amusing
right, right.
as
Or
instead of just alluring.
yeah, you get, you're like, hmm. Um,
Or
I mean,
like
there's
those old Bessie Smith records from the 1930s,
sure, sure.
I was it I need a little sugar for my bowl, I need a little hot dog for my roll.
Right, right, right.
This
I
is
remember,
1930s.
yeah. Hey, you
The
got,
Hayes Commission wouldn't have liked that if it was in a movie.
right. I remember when I was a kid, right? Squeeze box. Like all the older kids, ooh.
Right.
Um,
My dad used to play the accordion, you see.
sure, sure, yeah, right. Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Daddy's got a squeeze box. Mama never sleeps at night. Tell him
Yeah.
to put down the accordion. You can come to bed and stop playing that music, right?
Right.
Yeah, to me that's clever. I've
Yeah.
told this story before, but one of my favorite examples of that is that the hit cover that kind of launched rock and roll for white people.
Yeah.
Uh, there were two, and they were both by Bill Haley and the Comets, pre
Okay.
Elvis. One
Yeah.
was Rock Around the Clock. I think that's the third version of that by
Sure.
anyone. And the other one was, of course, Big Joe Turner's version of Shake, Rattle, and Roll.
Okay.
And they actually they neutered one of his sexy lyrics because it was a
Interesting.
black R&B song.
Right. Sure.
I think the original lyric is you wear those dresses, the sun keeps shining through. You wear those dresses, the sun keeps shining through. Can't believe my eyes, that doggone mess is you. So of course he wasn't going to sing that, right?
Right. Sure.
Way too sexual for the hit charts for white people.
Right.
But
Right.
he changed it to something like you wear those dresses, your hair done up so nice, or something like that. Something
Yeah.
completely anodyne and safe. But he left a total other, even raunchier lyric there, and nobody realized it was raunchier,
Mhm.
which is let me think. I'm like a one-eyed cat peeping in the seafood store. I'm like
Yes.
a one-eyed cat
Oh
peeping in the.
man.
They sang that.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that apparently went by everybody, including radio programmers who happily, spun that
Right.
record
Right.
on daytime radio. So
That's too
there's
funny.
that's like 1953. The repressive, Eisenhower Leave It to Beaver years or whatever.
Right. Sure.
I don't know
Sure.
when Leave It to Beaver started, but I use that to evoke the general 50s
Right.
of what they thought
Yeah.
was
It was.
wholesome
It's
family
definitely.
entertainment.
Yeah. It's definitely got that picture.
Yeah.
Um.
And rock and roll was the devil's music, and your children were not allowed to listen to it, especially if it was made by black people, which really makes it the devil music for a lot of white parents.
Right. Right.
So
And that's why
this stuff is fascinating to me,
Yeah.
absolutely fascinating. And when I'm fascinated by stuff, another rabbit hole. So much easier to do now. I'm talking about old rabbit holes I did pre-internet
Right. Right.
because the process of discovery was part of the fun.
So. So I think it's kind of obvious in a way, just sitting here listening to you. But how did you go from being a musician to deciding like that you were gonna put all this out into the world, like all this knowledge that you have about music and basically start publishing your thoughts on music and creating the big takeover and all of that? Like how did that happen?
Well, that was a total f up.
Okay.
I was saying this to somebody recently. My entire career, if you could call it that, has been a giant bizarre accident
Yeah.
because I don't like writing.
Oh
I
wow.
never
Okay.
have.
Okay.
Like some people, they really love writing. Once I get down to it and start writing, I get into it.
Yeah.
It's like the hardest thing for me to do is just start writing. If I
Yeah.
can get over that and sit down and start, okay, I need to review this record, I get it done, and I throw everything I got into it.
Yeah.
But I didn't take any journalism classes in high school. I took just one, because it was a more interesting elective than the other ones offered. It wasn't because I was like, boy, I'd really like to take. And I'm glad I did because they taught me some newspaper reporting things, the 5 Ws: who, what, where, when, why.
Sure, sure, sure.
So if you're telling the story, and you add how, the one
Yeah.
H. The 6 questions. People have questions, and they all start with those letters,
Yeah.
and you should cover them at some point so you answer people's questions before they ask them. But for the most part, it had zero ambition to be a writer, and it was my career as a public musician as opposed to a guy who plays the drums in his parents' basement
Right.
or in my own um, bedroom
Yeah.
began because of a guy named David Stein. He was my best friend since kindergarten.
Nice.
And when Jeff Hutchinson got Dave Stein into Bowie and a couple other people, Dave Stein insisted that I get into Bowie. I resisted him for weeks. He gave me a copy of the best of Changes one at that time. It was brand
Okay.
new. I think it was 15 years old. And I resisted that, and then I fell. Like, I fell hard, like a girl that you thought you didn't like. And then you
Yeah.
realize you're hopelessly in love with them, and
Right.
you're like, God damn it! Why am I in love with her? This sucks. Bowie's a weirdo. He's a freak. Did you see that cover of Aladdin Sane? He's a
Oh
freaking
man.
freakazoid. Why do I like that freakazoid? I'm 15, and my life has
Because he
been,
writes great songs.
well, I didn't know that. I just thought he
Yeah.
was weird. I didn't like weirdo music. I was still playing my
Sure.
Beatle records.
Sure.
There was nothing weird about them to me.
Yeah.
Or like my brother's Elton John records. Those are good pop records. I didn't
Yeah.
like weirdos.
Yeah.
He was kind of a weirdo himself, but it was still safe entertainment as far as.
Right. Elton John was kind of a safe
Yeah, there
weirdo.
was no threat there.
Yeah.
Bowie was a threat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so much of punk rock was the same thing to me. Is if you liked, the Sex Pistols, if you liked the Screamers, if you liked any of those bands, that music was a threat to you,
Yeah.
let alone anyone else. It really
Yeah.
was like confronting you with the
Yeah.
truth. Again, with the truth.
Yeah.
The truth, not the BS. Um, I felt that way about Bowie. I mean, the song that did it for me, I didn't even realize the homoerotic aspect of it being straight.
Yeah.
But John, I'm Only Dancing was the song that converted me. I'm like,
Okay.
why that song? Because it's so weird.
Right.
The lyrics are weird. Why she turns me on, but I'm only dancing. What? No,
Yeah,
I don't hear that in popular music, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And why are you addressing that to John? What's John's problem with it? You're dancing with a girl. You know, the
right.
whole gay aspect of it was kind of like befuddling to me at age 15. And the sound of the music is weird. The ambiance is weird. The way he sings it is weird.
Yeah,
That whole song is just wall to wall weird to a 15-year-old in 1977.
right, sure.
And for some reason, they stuck it on this best of, even though no one in America knew that song. It wasn't like a radio tune like the other one. So it
Right.
was just completely confounding to me. So thanks to Dave Stein, I got into Bowie. Thanks to Dave Stein and Jeff Hutchinson, who'd gotten Dave into Bowie, and some other people in Summit like Janet Whitehouse
Yeah.
and Dave Hutchinson and those Eric Kyle and people like that. We have suddenly had this punk rock contingent. And Dave Stein said, we got to get into a band in New York. You play the drums. I'm learning how to play the guitar. And I'm like, nobody just gets into a band in New York, Dave.
Right. Yeah. There's
Like,
got to be a process.
what are you smoking, basically?
Right.
Maybe if we ever move there someday, but we're still in high school. We
Yeah.
can't move there yet. We got to graduate first. But Dave didn't want to hear that. And in April of 1980, he he formed us a band and got us a gig 3 days later.
There you go.
Because Nick Martin, our friend in New York, called him up, uh, and he wasn't home. Mrs. Stein said he's over at Jack's house, so he called Jack's house, and I
Mhm.
got on the phone like, "Oh, good, you guys are together. Great, I got news for you. We have a gig coming up in 3 days." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
It's awesome.
Speaking about crazy talk, right? We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
have a band.
Oh,
You have to actually have a band. You
right. Some
rehearse.
songs.
You have
Some.
material.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are we playing in 3 days? This is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Oh man.
And of course, Dave goes, "Well, take it."
Yeah.
And Nick is like, "Oh, shut up, Jack. Just come. Let's just play. It'll be fun."
Yeah.
Nick Martin is still alive. Dave Stein has been dead for about 12 years now.
Oh man.
And I wrote Nick recently. He's still very much on my mind. But that was the punk rock ethos.
Nice.
Just do it.
Yeah. Just
Stop
do it.
worrying.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And so the next day, I'm at the Stimulators practice space, and we've got to come up with a set ready to play in 2 days
Jeez.
for a sold out show opening for the Stimulators at Tier 3 in
Oh, man.
Tribeca, May the
Oh, man.
2nd, 1980. So it's April the 30th that we're meeting,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we
Wow.
have this gig on the 2nd.
Oh
And we
man.
and we could only have the rehearsal space that day, so it was 2 hours basically to come up with 4 songs.
So you guys were ready, basically. Is it?
I was. I mean, I'd been playing drums since I was in fourth grade.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was the only, to the extent that an 18-year-old is a musician, I'd been playing for
Yeah.
like 8 years constantly.
Yeah.
I'd played along to Beatle records. I played along to Simon and Garfunkel records.
Sure.
And then when punk came along, I principally played along with Stranglers records
Okay.
because I couldn't be Rat Scabies, but I could maybe be Jet Black.
Right.
His
Right.
beat was really muscular and really cool. So I would just play Hanging Around by the Stranglers like 10 times in a row with the
Nice.
music on so loud that I could hear it over the crash of the drums, right?
Yeah.
Hanging around, hanging around. I could do fourth quarter note rolls.
Right.
And every night you're like, da 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 da. Okay, how do you do that? Ba da da ba da da. That's like a Jet Black idea of a roll.
Nice.
But I got it.
Signal. Yeah.
I tried it over and over. I'm like, da 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 da, monkeys on his shoulder, and he's really gonna, like. And so, okay, now I got that one. Da 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 da. To me now, it's like child's play. But
Yeah.
when you're 16 and trying to learn something other than just the 4/4 beat, playing along with Beatles records,
Right.
it's
Just
it's really
lose.
fun.
Yeah.
So I just kept the beat going. They got lost. They got scared and raced for the worm in the bottom of a bottle of mezcal and showed up on stage drunker than skunks. But
Oh man.
I was sober and ready to play. So
Yeah.
these 4 2-minute songs we had, they were all about 8 minutes each.
Oh god.
Our 10-minute set was a nice half hour.
Oh, that's awesome.
I didn't care how lost they got and what chaos. They'd be playing the wrong note at the wrong time. I just kept
Yeah.
that beat slamming.
There you go.
Like we actually had planned all this and
So
like we knew what we were doing.
you guys like invented jam bands. that night.
Tim Summer heard the tape once, and he said that we basically were kind of like Sonic Youth before it existed, or
That's
some
awesome.
like avant-garde band by accident.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was only, I think, a month later that Dave again. See, it's always freaking David Stein.
Yeah,
It's lovely having a friend like that since kindergarten. Sweetest fellow. Everybody's best friend, not just mine.
nice.
He was your best friend. He was my best friend too. Like, well, there was a lot of Dave. There was a lot of love. Dave loved to share, spread around there.
Yeah,
But he calls me up in May and he says, "I want to do a fanzine." I go, "Huh? You want to do a fanzine? What, like Sniff and Glue? You know,
right.
like Backdoor Man again, Backdoor Man out of California."
Okay.
The guy who ended up being a pretty good friend of mine years later, Fast Freddie Patterson. It was his magazine in the mid '70s. I
Yeah.
mean, I knew what a fanzine was. I'd seen them.
Right, sure.
But I'm like, you don't just do a fanzine. First of
No.
all, you have to. What are we going to write about? He goes, well, I thought we'd do a fanzine about David Johansen. I'm like, that's a stupid idea. Yeah, I'm 18. I just turned 18. He's still 17. He
Yeah.
goes, well, what's so stupid about it? I go like, the guy's all over the radio. You know, Funky but Chic.
Yeah.
That stupid animals medley that they're playing on the classic rock station, NEW, and PIX. What does he need you for?
Right,
We
right,
can read
right, right.
we can read about him in Rolling Stone and Hit Parader anytime we want.
Yeah.
And besides that, you don't even like that stuff that much. You like the New York Dolls. They broke up, 3 years ago or
Right,
5 years ago.
right.
Is if you're going to do a fanzine, you should do like why don't we do one on the Stimulators and the Bad Brains and the Mad? The bands that we're friends with that are not getting any ink at all. He goes, you know what? You're right. You're right. They need us more. You're right.
Yeah.
Dave and I wrote half of issue one in May of 1980, and it's only one page. And we didn't know what a copy machine was. There was one at the library in Summit, New Jersey, where we were living. So we
Okay.
went to the deli with a $10 bill and asked for a roll of dimes.
And
And
just
they actually had one. We didn't have to go to.
nice.
They said for future reference, you can go to the bank.
Right,
But I've
right.
got if you're going to buy something, just give me the $10. And Dave goes, well, I'll buy a Coke. So
Nice.
he bought a Coke, and they let me change my $10, and we walked over to the library. It was a short walk, and we put 100 dimes into that freaking copy machine,
Yeah.
and it was like 30-40 seconds to a copy.
Man.
The
So you were there for
technology in 1980 was like
oh jeez.
ring,
Yeah.
ring,
You guys to go
ring,
back and forth and
ring,
copy each.
ring,
Yeah.
and then nothing.
Right.
Let's go. And finally, you hear the gears start turning, and the ink
Yeah.
being applied.
And it's
And then you
warm.
had to wait for it to show up in the tray and put another dime in. So we were there like an hour to make 100 copies.
Right.
Just nuts.
Man.
And we drove into Max's Kansas City and we gave them all away, other than like 20 we put at Bleecker Bob's.
Awesome.
And we're like, our work here is done. Like, okay, we're finished. There's not even
Right.
anything on the other side. It's one
It's just
page.
one page. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote half, he wrote half. We kind of commingled it. I typed it up on my mother's typewriter because she had an electric.
Nice.
There's no computers in 1980. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
there
Not at
was like
all.
3 copy shops in Manhattan. I only found out that one existed because the Stimulator's manager told me about it. He said, I can make more of those since you're writing about our band.
Hey.
Just give me, the original and I'll make more. I'll even pay for it myself. Like, beat yourself up. Go ahead, Donald Merck was his name. He goes, well, it's in our band's best interest because you're spreading word about us
Right.
and
Right.
these other bands that we're friends with. So that's how I found out even a copy shop existed. I'd never seen one before.
Right. There was no big ads for Kinkos back then.
There wasn't any Kinkos back then.
Yeah, there was no Kinkos back then.
There was the Unsloppy Copy Shop on West 8th Street. So
Nice.
even though we were in the East Village with hanging out with those bands, we had to walk 20 minutes to the West Village, and that was the only one south of 42nd Street that I think existed in those days.
Wow.
It was a fledgling technology. My dad had kind of a primitive copier in his office at his
Yeah.
at he had his own business, and we used to go play with it in the 70s. Again, it would take like a minute and a half to make one copy, and it would make like 20 copies and then conk out.
Right.
So it's really impossible to understand how difficult it was to do a tiny little micro fanzine. But the upshot was that people would started saying, "When are you going to come out with issue 2?" And I
Yeah.
just laugh in their faces, like there's not going to be an issue 2. That was just a couple of excited kids in an afternoon
Right.
having
Right.
a little blast for a day, and then we're done.
Right.
And then I went off to college at Lafayette, which I only did for 1 year, and then I transferred to NYU.
Right.
Uh, and Dave went to college in Boston University, so we weren't even in the same town anymore.
Right.
And this just went on until finally I got tired of people saying, "When is issue 2 coming? When is issue 2 coming?" Like, they kept badgering me. No, we like that you're writing about these bands because no one
Yeah.
else is. It
Yeah.
wasn't because they thought we were so great. They
Right.
just
They
thought it
just.
was good we were writing about these bands.
Yeah.
So what happened was the guy in my high school, I got him to go see the Stimulators with me. One of the few converts I made, this guy
Yeah.
named Johnny Mantell, who after seeing the Stimulators dubbed himself Johnny Vile. It being
Nice.
punk. Well, you're Jack Rabid. I'm
Maybe
Johnny
Johnny Vile.
Vile. I
Yeah.
said, "Nice to meet you, Johnny Vile. Rest in peace, John Mantell."
Yeah. There you go.
That's how you did it in those
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
And he was so knocked out by a punk rock show that he went to a bunch more. In fact, I remember going to what we consider punk rock now, or then, but not now. The Contortions with Poly Rock. I took him to see again at Max's Kansas City, and we liked that as much because punk was an open-ended idea in those days.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
anything that wasn't Styx or Kansas or Boston,
Right.
and a bunch of guys puffing up their chest and acting all macho, and doing something really cutting edge. So he ended up for an English paper writing about his trip to Max's to see the Stimulators. It was like a
Okay.
4-page paper, and he got an A on it. And
Hmm.
naturally, he showed it to me because I feature in it. I'm one of the characters in it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I go, "Boy, you sure write better than I do." And I held on to it. So finally, I got this brainstorm one day. I know, that'll be issue number
Yeah.
2.
No, you should too. Yeah.
And issue 2 was the first one that was a legal size paper where we printed on both sides because I'd learned that by now, and
Nice.
we folded it over so it was 4 pages. It was really a double sided legal size, but
Right.
that way we could fit the whole of his essay.
Yes.
And again, like great, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't write it,
Right.
but now all I did was feed the beast more. I was like the guy who didn't realize the unintended consequences. I thought I was finally going to get rid of all this badgering.
Right. You're like issue two's done. There.
Yeah. Okay,
Have
there.
it.
You got what you wanted. Once
Yeah.
again, I will slink off into the sunset. Adios, suckers. Song, suckers. But no, now the clamoring was even more. Well, you did
Yeah.
2 issues, and now the Stimulators and the Mad and the Bad Brains were like, "Yeah, you got to keep that going. We need something that's talking about what's happening, man.
Right.
You can't just buy New York Rocker even or Trouser Press even.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the higher end of the underground. We need something
Yeah.
for this local scene that's really great that no one's covering because they keep telling us punk rock ended in 1977. Funny
Yeah.
to think, right?
That's what Johnny Rotten said anyway.
A lot of people did. I mean, I'll give you a indication. When we finally moved into that place for 2 months
Yeah.
on East 12th Street, where the Stimulators lived and where Arthur Russell lived and where Allen Ginsberg lived with Peter Oslovsky and where Harley Flanagan lived from the Stimulators, who later started the Cro-Mags.
Nice.
And his aunt was in the Stimulators 3 floors above with Donald Merck living with her. So there was just this crazy building. And
Yeah.
so we were there constantly for a year. And finally, Dave and I moved in and sublet it that summer of 1980 when we graduated from high school. And so Allen Ginsberg was our landlord because he was basically renting this place to Denise and Donald
Yeah.
of the Stimulators. So now we're in the building all the time. And who lives on the other floor is Richard Hell.
Oh, okay.
He'd moved in 5 years before that.
Man.
He's still there now. I've known
Wow,
this all along, and there was this week an article about his place in the New York Times.
man.
He's still on that same building on East 12th
It's
Street. That he's been there
crazy.
50 years. But when I'd pass him in the hallways, up and down the stairwell
Yeah.
in those months in 1980, or when I was just hanging around the stimulators, dressed to the punk rock garb, with my black jacket that I'd thrown oil paint all over with, like,
Right.
you know undertones badges and Dead Kennedys badges or whatever,
Yeah.
back before they were really known, because I'd seen them at Max's Kansas City, amazingly enough. And
Wow.
I hope Jello completely recovers from his stroke this week, by the way. But no, Richard Hell would actually frown at me and sneer, and kind of like, ugh. And to me, I'd be like, "Holy shit, it's Richard Hell!
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
I've
go
seen
ahead.
you play. I have your records. You
Yeah.
used to be in television. I saw
Yeah.
the Heartbreakers last week. You were a founding member. Jesus Christ,
Right.
you're Richard Hell." And he's looking at me like, "Oh, that stuff is so over." Without even
Oh, man.
talking to them, you could instantly see the disdain.
Yeah.
Like, "You're too late, kid.
Yeah.
You should have been at CBGB's 4 years ago when we were playing, with those bands or with the Voidoids.
Right. Sure.
You
Sure.
totally missed out now." It's funny to think, because punk is still going
Yeah,
in
it is. Yeah, there's
2026. We
new
were
punk
too late
bands.
in 1979. In 1978,
Hilarious.
it had ended like 6 months before.
Right. Right.
And as a local scene, it sort of had. Like, the first time I saw the Talking Heads in '78 with XTC opening, I was
Yeah.
16, but they were playing the Beacon Theater. They weren't playing CBGB's.
Right.
They were playing a 3,000 seat theater, which is still there.
Right. Right. It's funny to think about how bands like the Talking Heads and Blondie and Devo were considered punk.
Once
You
upon a
know?
time, yeah. Again, we had a
Yeah.
very open ended idea what punk was.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. I've
Cramps were
talked
punk
about
rock to me.
right. I've talked about that on the show before. Like XTC,
They
who
were
I
punk rock to me.
yeah, and I feel like if they came out now, uh, someone would try to call them like revved up Americana or something. You
Yeah,
know?
maybe. Although
Yeah.
this XTC was the Barry Andrews era. The first two albums is the
Yeah.
first one I saw with Barry Andrews on keyboards before Dave Gregory. So we're talking about Go To and White Music.
Oh, white music is
XTC. Like,
insane,
yeah,
dude. Oh my god. This is pop.
it's like new wave on cocaine,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
except that
oh
they weren't
man.
on
What is
cocaine.
the all along the watchtower cover that sounds like
Yeah,
it's just falling apart, man.
it
My
turned out
God.
it was David Byrne was the one on cocaine, not Andy
Yeah,
Partridge or any of those guys.
right,
And I know,
right.
because when I interviewed Andy Partridge, he told me that. Because naturally I told him I saw you open for Talking Heads,
Yeah.
and he said, "Yeah, we'd done a big tour with them in Europe. It was the first time I ever left England, because
Yeah.
the Talking Heads asked us, having never met us or had any communication with us, they said, 'Would you like a tour of Europe?' And we're like, 'Yeah, great.'" This is a great story. Like, the first gig was in, like, Zurich or something like that. He says, "I've never even left London or Swindon in my life. And here we
Great.
are in Switzerland," or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he says, "So we go backstage looking for them to thank them, having never met them."
Right. And
And
David
we're like,
Byrne is
which is the Talking Heads dressing room?" "Oh, it's down there in the hall." So they go down there, and the door's kind of ajar.
right.
And he looks in, and there's just David Byrne in there, and he's sitting at, like, a desk with the mirror, backstage mirror and stuff. And so he
Right.
goes flying over there, and he goes like, "Hi, David. I'm Andy Partridge of XTC. I just want to say thank you so much for having us on this tour." And
Yeah.
he said, David Byrne goes like this. He scarfs up this giant line and
Oh
turns to her and
God.
goes like, "Oh, hi, it's nice to meet you too. We're really glad to have you."
Oh man.
And he's just there like,
Oh
"Oh, so this is what people do on tour.
yeah. Welcome to
I've
Show
heard of
Kid.
this. I never saw it before."
Oh man, that's amazing.
And this was, I said, "Can I print that? This
Yeah.
is on the record. You just said something on the record, but I'll be nice.
Right.
I'll, my thing is, when I hear something like that, I'll give you a chance to strike it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Sure.
I want you to know I'm printing it. I try
Right.
not to get people trouble. He goes, no, you can print that.
Yeah.
And then a year or two later, David Byrne wrote liner notes for a Talking Heads compendium and said, yeah, I was constantly on cocaine back then. And I go like, it all makes sense
Right. Right.
when you see like the look in his eyes, and he looks so like paranoid all the time and scared.
Yeah.
He was just doing crap loads of coke, apparently.
It makes sense. You know.
Yeah. And
Uh,
the one time I met him, I was at before I showed up for sound check at a gig at Tier 3. His band wasn't playing,
okay.
and for some reason he was there sitting at the bar by himself. So I was like, oh, well, David Byrne.
Yeah.
And so I wandered over and I said, hey, David, you don't know me, but I'm a fan. I've seen you guys play, and I bought your new third album today, and I've already played it 4 times. It came out that day. So
Nice.
what if you look up the date of the release of Fear of Music? That was
Yeah.
the day this happened.
Okay.
Okay, in 1979. And I said, I was badgering the record store clerk. What day is that? What day is that? Now, of course, today I always know the release dates.
Right.
He's
Sure.
like, get away from me, kid. It's not till next week. Come back on Tuesday, and then we'll talk. I'll have it on
Yeah.
Tuesday. Now get out
Yeah.
of my face. But finally Tuesday arrived. I gave him my $5.99 in text. Went
Yep.
home. I liked the record so much I just played it 4 times in a row. Got in the car, drove to New York, and bang! There's the guy.
Nice.
So I thought it would be a nice mode of conversation. I have your album. I played it 4 times already. I just thank you so much for making this wonderful music. And he starts backing away from me like, well, thank you. Oh, that's really nice of you. I
Oh,
gotta go now. It's like one of those things where you sniff your armpits. Like, what did I do?
yeah. What happened here?
I don't
Yeah.
seem to have taken a shower today. I didn't think I said anything all that bad.
Right.
I said it in an excited but a personable manner. And
Yeah.
again, that story makes sense to me now too. He probably just done a
Yeah. He was probably super
boatload of
paranoid. Like,
cocaine. And he's
yeah.
like,
Totally tweaked
this
out. Like,
this
oh,
stranger is harassing me. Get him away
that's
from
too
me.
funny, dude.
And I never met him since.
Oh man.
I was
That's too funny.
17.
Yeah.
Just the magic of New York, though, is you were constantly running into those characters,
Right.
whether
Right. Man.
getting sneered at by Richard Hell, being backed away from by
David Byrne.
David Byrne, or having lovely conversations with Joey Ramone, or
Sure.
Lux Interior, or any of these people. I got to meet all those people, and everybody else
Oh,
was a good time. Johnny
awesome.
Thunders was the only one who wasn't a good time. He was more funny because he was so out of it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once he came backstage at one of our Even Worse gigs. The band that I was talking about that we formed with Nick and Dave was called Even Worse,
Right. Right.
and it
Right.
was
Right.
so much fun we kept it going. Uh, the following year in '81, we played Max's I think 5 times, and
Man.
at one of those gigs, that was my great ambition in life, is to play one gig at Max's. But how was I ever going to get into a band that would ever play Max's? Again,
Right.
that's like pipe dream stuff. But here I am playing Max's, and here's my hero, Johnny Thunders. I've seen the Heartbreakers like 17 times, and he's
Nice.
coming. He's coming into our backstage, and I'm like, get out! That's great.
Yeah.
Hi, Johnny. And despite all of us saying hi, Johnny, nice to see you. He's like, you kids, yeah, you don't even know who I am.
Just said hi.
And I said, yeah, apart from seeing you play up to that time, probably like 14 times, and
Right.
owning every record that you've ever made, including 2 New York Dolls albums that it took me like 5 years to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, or in that case, probably 3 years to find. Yeah, I have no idea who you are.
I I found a New York Dolls record at a garage sale when I was a kid.
You lucky bastard.
That was how I found out who the New York Dolls were.
We had to pay double.
Yeah.
We found a gatefold double album from like Spain.
Oh man, that's
We
crazy.
Because it was the only one we could find.
Yeah.
Somehow, and we found a copy that was a Spanish import or German import or something. Gatefold double album of both albums in one.
That's
You just
crazy.
couldn't find. You could not find the Stooges, New York Dolls, MC5, or Velvet Underground anywhere.
Right.
We
Right.
hit every record store in the tri-state area. And when I finally went out of town, I was still missing an MC5 album by then. When I went to California in 1980, couldn't find it in California either. Those records were like, like you had them on tape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You found the one guy
And
over like a year that claimed to have it and say, "Would you please tape it for me? I will pay you. I will
yeah.
give you $20," which is like a fortune back then.
Right, sure.
If you
Sure.
will just tape me these two albums that I don't own that you do, here I'll even buy you the blank cassette.
That's
Now it's just
awesome.
like pip, 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 pip. I have the entire New York. I had the both albums. I got the live album. I got the demos. I
Right,
got
right.
I can watch YouTube videos of them. On Midnight Special.
Sure, sure. Yeah, Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think they were on Don Kirshner, but you can watch. You can listen. You got
Yeah.
everything you want. You can read. You read whole like magazine articles about them. It's such a different time now.
Was it was it Death? Was that the name of the all or was it Black Death? They
Oh,
were
it's
like an
death.
all yeah.
Yeah. Nobody
I saw
heard
a
of them back
TV
then.
appearance of those guys.
Yeah.
I never even knew they were on TV
No one
on
even knew
YouTube.
they. I never heard of Death until like 10 or 12 years ago. I never heard their
Yeah,
name once.
yeah.
And I
They
knew a
were
lot of those Detroit bands. I knew um, Bob Seger System.
sure.
Again, everybody knows Mr. Heartland Rock.
Right, right, right,
Only so many people will go back and hear his early records and see how different
right,
they are.
right.
I've heard MC5 and the Stooges and
Sure.
some of those other groups. SRC, I think is one of them. I can't remember now, but I'd never heard of Death at all. But here, now you can hear it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
I
never
did
too
do
late now. You can
I
see
was
it. You can hear it.
yeah, I was watching it.
Rodriguez. I never heard of Rodriguez until the documentary, like everyone
Right,
else.
sure.
And it
Sure.
was always my thing to find the underground shit like that. So if I
Yeah.
never heard it, nobody was talking about it.
Right, right. So I want to ask you kind of like a fanboy question real quick. Speaking of all the different characters in New York and whatnot, and you may not have a story, and that's completely fine. But do you have any Jesse Malin stories? Because I'm absolutely fascinated by that dude.
Oh well, thank you for mentioning him.
Of course. Yeah.
Speaking of people, I'd like to have a full recovery, although
Yeah.
he's recovered quite a lot.
Yeah.
Jesse
Absolutely.
Jesse and I go back to 1981,
Yeah.
when he was 13 and I was 19.
Nice.
He used to come by my house, and even worse, again that lineup of even worse played with Heart Attack, his band. I think on
Right.
5 occasions. We loved that guy. He was the coolest 13-year-old you ever met, and funny, smart and
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Do you know that Misfits song, "Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight"?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we're playing with Heart Attack at the Peppermint Lounge. It's January 3rd, '82, just
Okay.
barely past '81. I'm still 19. He's still 13. And there's this song, I think it's called Family Life by Heart
Okay.
Attack,
Okay.
where there's this dropout and he gets to say something, and he'd say something different every gig.
Right.
And the Peppermint Lounge was kind of more of a grown up place than some of the places we played. Even Max's was kind of like an underground haunt, whereas
Mhm.
Peppermint Lounge had this storied history going back to the Peppermint Twist and the Beatles hanging out there the one day they got to go out in America. When they were over here playing the Sullivan Show, and
Sure.
even then they got a little too mob for their taste, so they never tried it again in their entire American touring history. They never went out to a club again or
Wow.
anything in public. But
Wow.
when they got to that part in Family Life by Heart Attack where the band drops out,
Yeah.
Jesse goes, "Mommy, can I go out and play the Peppermint Lounge tonight?"
Awesome.
He being 13.
Oh, it's so
It
good.
was so funny. I
Yeah.
started laughing so hard it started to hurt.
So
Like,
good.
yeah, do you have a mommy that lets you play the Peppermint Lounge at night there, Jesse, on a Sunday night? Because it was Punk Sunday.
Oh man. It's awesome.
Hilarious. I mean, we're talking 45 years ago, and I still haven't forgotten that. It's a sort of joke you can only tell to a fellow Misfits fan, or they won't find it one tenth as
Right,
funny
right.
as
That's
you.
great.
Because it was a new Misfits song at that time.
Right,
And you
right.
would had to have seen them because I don't even think the song had been released yet. As
Yeah,
we'd
and
all seen the Misfits.
yeah, that's awesome.
So Jesse's one of my favorite people in the world.
Awesome.
Jesse knew I was a DJ. I was also a DJ from
Sure.
1979 until about 1989 for about a decade. I made, like 150, $200 a pop.
Yeah.
Tried not to spend it all on records. before, I had to live off of something.
Right, sure.
So when he started Coney Island High in the mid '90s, he hired me, and I DJ'd upstairs at his club every Monday from midnight till 4 in the morning,
That's awesome, man.
and
Yeah, I
occasionally, and then he'd have me come down to the bottom floor. Like I DJ'd the last two Ramones shows
dude, that's
in
awesome.
New York, even though I hadn't
Awesome.
seen him play since like 1980. I think
I
that was
just
like 1997 or 1998, something like that.
yeah. I just think like people don't really appreciate his gift for melody, and
Oh,
just
I do. I
yeah.
was a big
I just
fan
wish
of.
more people did, like he's just I think he's a fantastic songwriter and
Well, people know his solo stuff and they know D Generation, but
yeah,
but before that, both Heart Attack and Hope, the band
yeah.
he had after Heart Attack and before D Generation, I used to go see them play all the time. I thought they were
That's
great.
awesome. That's
So
awesome.
he's had a long and great career, and he's been great to the city of New York with all the clubs he
Yeah,
started.
yeah.
He hired me to DJ again when he started Coney Island Baby,
Nice.
the Coney Island thing again,
That's awesome.
which had been Brownies and is now Lucinda's. It's run by Lucinda Williams.
Oh
It's a
wow.
club on Avenue A, right
Interesting.
next door to where we had all recorded in the punk days, 171A, where the Bad Brains made their record, Even Worse made their record, Nihilistics, Beastie Boys. We all recorded at this like practice space. That was 171A, and I think Lucinda's is 173A.
That's
Like
so cool.
literally shares a wall.
Man,
This place
that's
where we
awesome.
all used to hang out and rehearse and record.
That's
So
awesome.
so when he opened up Coney Island Baby, he had a gig where he was doing Bad Brains covers
Nice.
just for the night, and he had
Nice.
HR come and join them. And it was Murphy's Law, just because
Oh,
we've known Jimmy Gestapo since 1980 as well,
sure.
when he was a
Sure.
real little kid as well.
Sure.
So it was kind of like old timers night at Coney Island Baby like 10 years ago, and I had a great time DJing that show as well. So I've got nothing but love for Jesse Malin. I've heard his current show that he's doing now at
Yeah.
Bowery Powerless is really something you need to see. So
You
I'm
know,
hoping to get over there and see it.
awesome. Awesome. Yeah, he's one of the people who I just have a lot of respect for as a songwriter and
Yeah, he'd always insisted I
and and,
meet
and a
some of my
character
heroes too.
too,
He introduced me to Ronnie Spector.
Oh,
He
yeah.
introduced me to Dee Dee Ramone, which amazingly I'd somehow never met before, even though I'd met all the other Ramones,
Nice.
so that I could get the full Dee Dee experience of what a clown he is.
Nice.
Oh, sorry,
Nice.
was. They're
Yeah.
all dead now, unfortunately, other than Marky.
Yeah.
Like he's like me. He likes meeting these people and shooting the ball with them, and he's friends with everybody, just being the guy he is.
Yeah.
If you know him, you'd be his friend as well.
Right on.
He's
Right
a
on.
lot. He has something like that in common with David Stein. May he rest in peace. Some people are just like that. They're everybody's friend because they're just such great people, and
Right.
Jesse's one of
Sure.
them.
Sure.
I
Right
hope you
on.
meet him.
That'd be awesome. That'd be great.
If he's a
That
hero
would,
of yours, don't
he
listen to
is.
that crap. How you should never meet your heroes.
Oh man. So my biggest musical hero is John Easdale. And I met him when I was about 18 or 19, 21. I was 21. And then I had him on my show a few years ago. Probably the worst show I've ever done because it was literally just me telling him how fucking great he was. It was two
So you,
hours of
well,
me
we
just
we
going,
played with in Springhouse. We played with Drama Rama
oh man.
out in Long Island. We played
Yeah.
with them in the Wonder Stuff
Nice. Oh,
for a
very cool.
WDRE festival,
Very
and
cool.
Clem Burke was their drummer.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Clem Burke was their drummer when I saw him too. I actually got to meet him. He was just sitting at the bar drinking.
right.
And I
That
just
sounds like
came over and
fun.
was like, hey man, can you sign my jacket? And he's like, sure. He didn't really
Cool.
like
Our
but
bassist Larry introduced me to Clem because they'd played together in the Peter Stewart band.
yeah. Oh, cool.
And Larry told me the first thing he learned is you never stand in front of the drum set
Oh, sure.
when you're playing the bass. You just keep walking by.
Yeah.
If you need to get to the other side, don't linger.
That's
Clem
awesome.
wants to make sure you can see him. And I go,
Yeah.
fair
Yeah.
enough, because I could never take my eyes off him when he was playing either. So I understand that
He's a great
completely.
drummer. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
And on that Drama Rama record that he did, huge drums on that record. Holy crap.
Well,
Like,
see, like me, he's a New Jersey guy.
yeah.
A lot of us were people who came from New Jersey and made our way to New York because that's where
Right.
the action was.
Right. Sure.
It's
But
always
yeah,
amazing to me how many people who are considered New Yorkers like me, we were all, born and raised in New Jersey.
New Jersey, sure.
In
Yeah.
fact, I know he's from Wayne, and that's where my brother lives now.
Oh,
My
nice.
brother Dave. So every now and then I go to Wayne. Yeah, I used to pass Fountains of Wayne, the business.
Right, which is Fountains of Wayne, yeah.
It's sadly defunct now, but for
Ah,
years I'd look at it and laugh like, the
it's awesome.
original Fountains of Wayne.
It's awesome.
I should go in and buy a fountain. They'll sell me one. That's their
Right.
business after all. Too bad I don't really need a fountain. It would be just a
But
funny
you
thing
could
to do.
but you could own a Fountain of Wayne if you
Yeah. What did
bought
you do
one. Yeah.
today? I went to Fountains of Wayne and bought a fountain. I
It's
didn't
awesome.
ask them about Stacy's mom. I'm sure they're tired as hell of hearing about it.
Yeah, yeah. They 100% do not want to hear that.
Yeah. Well, now they're gone, so they you don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah.
But there's
But yeah,
and Wayne, New Jersey. This ties into my history interest. Is
sure.
named after a Revolutionary War general for Mister George Washington. Guy named
Awesome.
Mad Anthony Wayne.
Very nice.
It
Very
all
nice.
see everything just kind of like
Yeah, it all comes
spirals now.
together.
We don't
Yeah.
need stupid conspiracy theories. We just have funny rabbit holes and
Right. Right.
dot collections like that.
Right. But
How
yeah,
many people who live in Wayne, New Jersey even know that?
I don't the only people who I've ever talked to from Wayne, New Jersey are John
And,
and Clem Burke
Glenn
and
Burke,
Chris
right?
Carter.
There you
So
go.
so I don't know. But
Some good things come out of the suburbs of New Jersey, but
sure. Yeah.
eventually we leave. I've not lived there since that day I graduated high school and moved into Allen Ginsberg's apartment that he was renting to the stimulators. So,
I mean Bruce Springsteen's from New Jersey, so
uh huh.
I mean
Well,
that's a good
he still is in New Jersey, isn't he? I
I
don't
yeah,
know. Some people stay there, and fair enough. I have
yeah.
friends who are still there. My cousin still lives one town over from Summit, and once a year we go and visit her, and we go by, where I used to live, and my old, my old this and my old that and my other thing, and I just stare and go like, once upon a time,
Right.
because I've been a New York guy for 46 years.
Yeah, so you're basically a New York guy now. I mean, it's
Yeah, but if you still come from somewhere,
yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I'd be a very different person if I'd been born and raised here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm from upstate New York, even though I haven't lived there, in decades. I'm
Uh-huh.
always gonna,
Well,
claim. Hold
there
on,
was
buddy.
there was only one issue of Big Takeover that came out of Summit. So there's been, well, I'm working on 98 now. So there's been
Sure.
96 issues that have come from Manhattan and Brooklyn, and one from Summit on the Summit Public Library copy machine.
Nice.
But it's still one. There's still
Yeah, it
one on the
still came on
ledger.
there, right?
It may be 97-1, but New Jersey's still got
Yeah.
that one on there.
Still
It
the
always will.
still the birthplace.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Modest and meager as it might have been.
Man. So
The humble beginnings.
oh man.
Ring, 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 ring.
Ooh.
Now, of course, we just send the PDF to the printer in New
Yeah,
Hampshire.
yeah, and it's ready to go, right?
Yeah, and then a few weeks later, I get boxes and boxes and boxes of this thing,
Yeah,
and they ship all the other ones to the distributors and subscribers.
yeah.
I don't,
So
I don't get in my mother's Dodge Colt and drive to Max's gas
drive to
station
the
and stop off
library.
at Bleecker Bob's anymore.
Right,
Things have
right,
changed.
for sure. So, um, man, we've been going now for a couple hours, and man, we've had a good talk. We did not even touch on everything that I wanted
Well,
to
if
talk
you
about.
maybe
But
we should at least let you bring up those questions. Maybe not talk about them so long because I hate to leave you to think that there was something else you wanted to ask.
oh, I mean, I really just I wanted to know like the evolution, kind of like when when you felt like you were people were recognizing you as kind of a tastemaker, and then kind of the modern era of things where you have the internet radio and you're like I
Mhm.
said in the beginning, really looked at as someone who people trust to recommend good music. And
Uh,
then
hmm.
and then I had one more question which we can just kind of tie into that of Is there anybody right now who you feel like, you're kind of championing, who people should hear?
Oh, there's always going to be that, or else I'd stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I really do like writing about popular bands if they're good.
Right,
Like we had Radiohead on the cover twice,
right, sure.
and they were selling a lot of records in those days. We had REM on the cover once in the '80s, once in the '90s, and once in the aughts. And if they hadn't broken up, we would have gone once for the tens and twenties
Sure,
too.
sure.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
nothing. I don't, but those bands don't need me.
right,
I write about them because it's honest. I think those were great bands. They made
right.
great music. And if you were discounting them, the other problem, like, oh, they're too popular, I can't possibly like them.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
think
here to
that.
tell you that you should get over yourself. Just like if you don't like a band because they're too obscure, they can't be any good, or else I'd know about them. Get over yourself on that too. Just
Right.
listen. It's always been my mantra. Just listen. Now, when I don't know how to answer your question because there's been waves and
Yeah.
epochs and eras and stuff, and I think the safest thing is just to tell you I just never stopped.
Mm,
I never continued. I just didn't stop.
right,
Every time there was time to do another issue, I just began it.
right,
And
sure.
there's always been feedback. When I was a DJ, even in 79, 80, and I'd be spinning these punk rock records, other punk rockers would come up to me and say, like, oh, I can't believe you played that song. I love that song. I haven't heard it in so long, or I haven't thought of that song, or I played it last week, but I can't believe I'm hearing it in public. Or wow, you played that
Yeah,
deep cut. I'm
sure.
I love that band. I always hear the same two songs over and over.
Right,
Uh,
right.
like uh, like the only ones is as if the only song they ever released was "Another Girl, Another Planet." They made 4 albums. You know what I mean? Three out
Yeah,
three
yeah, for sure.
albums. There
Yeah.
were other songs that you could play, and I would play them. I'd play "Only Lovers of Doom" or something like that. Like I can't believe that somebody found out there was another "Only One" song.
Right.
I'm so sick of hearing, even though it's a great song, "Another Girl, Another Planet."
Yeah.
Everybody's worlds are too constricted. I hear a song and I like it. I want to play it. So I had this weird little micro reputation as being a guy who was like the guy with the records that you could hire for your club.
Yeah.
And thanks to the stimulators, because they got me into DJing clubs, DJing their shows. And then the people who ran the clubs would like what I played and hire me outside of them. And so I started getting gigs all over town. And it was good money for a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old. I just kept at it. Eventually, I didn't get hired for that anymore, but the magazine continued. And the
Hmm.
bands, the even worse was, let's see, 80 to 84. Springhouse was 88 to 93, and then about 25 reunions since, including as recently as November when we were flown out to California to do 2 shows in Los Angeles. And Last Burning Embers was, I think, 98 or so until about '04. And I was in a tour with the Leaving Trains in '86. I've done my time on various islands, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
people these days they only know me as a writer for the most part, apart from big various Springhouse fans, which is really kind
Yeah.
of them. And that's fine. There's a lot of different ways you can express yourself, and I've availed myself of those three main ways, and I've had a good time doing it. And I think
Right.
people can see that I'm still having a good time doing it. And I've tried to be honest all this time and just share. Uh, and my taste is mine. Did I ever tell you what the definition of good taste is?
No, you didn't.
Anybody whose taste is the same as yours.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. One
Makes
person's good
perfect sense.
taste is someone else's terrible taste.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that I champion and like, other people are like, "Wow, I'm glad that you're writing about them." Not Radiohead and
Right.
REM, of course, but like I opened my show the other day with a song from a late '80s band out of Cincinnati called the Libertines.
Oh, sure.
Not the later English Libertines,
Yeah.
the extraordinarily obscure Ohio Libertines that only made a cassette album and a Dutch import album. Talk
Right.
about hard to find stuff of.
Right.
They were extraordinary. I still haven't forgotten them. The singer, guitarist, songwriter, and the drummer of their brief reunited version in the late aughts, they now have a
Mhm.
band called Plush Machine, and so they've made 2 albums in the last few
Okay.
years, and that's helped me make the case anew, both for Plush Machine, which is a really fine band, and the Libertines, which are amazing stuff. And
Yeah.
this is something I can do to be helpful. If I bring you to a Libertines, if you listened to my show the other day and heard the live version of Sway back from their reunion concert opening
Mhm.
my show, if you went like, holy cow, I've never heard of these guys. This stuff is amazing. Then I've contributed something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
try to contribute something with my own music and my own bands, and fair enough. If you don't like Springhouse though, and you don't like Last Burning Embers, and you don't like Even Worse, even you can find all that stuff on Bandcamp now.
Right. Right.
Hopefully, I can contribute in this other way. And all
Right.
this knowledge that I've been spewing at you, poor person, all day long, that's something that I can use and share as well. If
Yeah.
if if people find these stories I tell boring, then I can't help.
Right.
And if they listen to these songs that I play for them and they don't like it, I can't help, but I can try.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can use this spirit and this knowledge and this passion I have in a way that makes the world better for somebody without saying I'm changing the world. I'm hopefully, giving somebody something. The kid in me who walked up to David Byrne was not starstruck.
Right. Sure.
The kid in me was like, holy cow, that's the guy who wrote that song, The Big Country. That's the
Yeah.
guy who wrote that song, Don't Worry About the Government,
Yeah.
that I've played 100 times. This is
Yeah.
something he gave me. He's a gift giver.
Right.
And
Right. Sure.
I'm the gift recipient, and my life is better that he walks the planet. And
Yeah.
I still feel that way about him.
Absolutely.
Those first three Talking Heads albums are amazing, just amazing. So
Yeah.
unlike anything else in my collection. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anybody who gives me these gifts, thank you. And so I try to give other people gifts, whether it is music that wouldn't have existed had I not been born, or if it's, the benefit of this knowledge and passion and rabbit hole, filling and stuff. I think it's great that people buy the big takeover
Yeah.
because otherwise I'd have to stop. I think it's
Right.
great people advertising the big takeover, or I'd sure have to stop because the
Right.
printer shipper bill in an era where most people don't pay any kind of bill to put stuff on the internet is
Yeah.
is overwhelming. I have to come up with $60,000 a year for 2 issues of printing and shipping.
Man.
The website costs me, I don't know, 1,000, two
Yeah.
thousand all year
Right.
long just for web hosting,
Right.
and for unlimited. Every time I add 8 pages to the magazine, there goes another 1,000.
Yeah.
So I had to actually have word counts in the magazine, and turn down stuff I might like to cover.
Yeah.
But
Dang.
it's lovely anybody likes what I do. It's lovely that I've made such great friends, many ex-girlfriends, my wife. My
Yeah.
children would not exist had my wife not found something interesting in me and what I do for a living, and how I am as a person. I owe that
Right.
all to music. I owe that all to Glenn Rager in 1966 or whatever,
Yeah.
playing the 4-year-old me, the real version
Yeah.
of I Saw Her Standing There. I owe that to Dave Stein for showing me the path into outsider music being the real stuff. If you liked Chuck Berry and you liked Buddy Holly and Gene Vincent and Carl Perkins, this was the Carl Perkins and Gene Vincent and Buddy Holly of the 1970s. It took me a while to realize it. Or it was the Beatles and the Pretty Things and the Zombies and the Who and the Rolling Stones and the Byrds of the 1970s. And
Right.
you weren't going to find it on the radio anymore. All those musicians were popular other than Larry Williams and Arthur Alexander or whatever. But you couldn't do that anymore. You couldn't rely on the radio to bring you the great stuff. So
Right.
I had to become an outsider if I still wanted to feel passionate about current music instead of playing old records. And thank you to David Stein and Jeff Hutchinson for doing that for me, and Glenn Rager, and all the people I've met who have filled me
Yeah.
with stuff I didn't know. Just like C. Berry means nothing to you, and now it's like, well, who doesn't know Chuck Berry? I have all
Right.
his records. I know
Yeah.
all his songs. I'm talking about you, nobody but you. To me, it's second nature. It's like talking to
Yeah.
a university professor about, a junior high school course. But you have to start somewhere. And
Right.
I meet people now who say that I'm that to them. I turn them
Yeah.
on. They have heard all these bands they would have missed had I not, you know, made magazines or done radio shows. And I know of at least 9 weddings I've heard of people who met because they shared a bond over the magazine. And I don't understand how that could be. It seems like a weird thing to meet someone over.
You never know, you know.
Well, somebody was reading it at a coffee shop and the girl came
Right,
over.
right. You're like, oh,
Or like they met and she said, "How do you know this band?" Well, I read about them in the Big Takeover. And they're like, "You like that magazine?" And of those nine, I haven't kept in touch with any of them, but I know of at least three of them that's produced children.
that's awesome.
And I am not taking credit for their romance
Hey,
or their, let alone their marriage and their children.
yeah,
That's all down to them.
yeah,
But these are the ways that you can impact the world on really micro levels that hopefully produce something good. I hope none of them have gotten divorced.
right,
I hope their children are really cool and that they love them very much,
yeah,
as opposed to, like I did this terrible thing and
right,
introducing
right.
you into inadvertently introducing you to each other. That's what we can all do as humans when we're honest and
Yeah,
just try to be, contribute something as opposed to being an asshole like our
right, sure.
president.
Yeah,
Trying
indeed.
trying to, extract something from everybody just because we're so great and we're so important and everyone else can go pound sand.
Right, right. So, I did want to say something that just came to mind real quick about connections and things like that. I interviewed Jeremy Porter a few months ago, and Chip Midnight
Who writes for
mentioned
us? Yeah.
that he was listening to the show,
So
and I
was
felt
listening
like
to your show,
someone,
really?
yeah,
Oh,
and I
great.
felt like someone ridiculously famous was listening to my show. It's like, this Chip Midnight is like a celebrity to me. So it was kind of cool. But
Jeremy Porter is like the band the Tucos, is that it?
yeah, yeah, that's him. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because there was a Porter in the Fountains of Wayne, but that's a different Porter.
Oh yeah, no, this is the guy from the Two Ghosts.
Right.
Fun conversation, great band. Like,
Yeah, they're good. They're good garage rock kind of stuff, right?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That
Kind
one
of,
kind of I don't know them as well, but I could see how that would be a good interview. And
yeah, it was
I
fun.
can see why Chip would be listening to that. Chip is a really nobody who's ever written for the magazine, our magazine, has ever been sought after. I
Right.
don't say like you should write for me.
Yeah.
I've never done that. Every single person who's written for the magazine said, "Can I write for you? I like your magazine."
Oh, that's awesome.
And Chip is just the sort of person that twice a year writes really great stuff for us.
Sure.
I know
Sure.
I'm the editor, but I don't write his stuff. I'm just the first guy to read it before the other 9,000 people do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just like everybody else. Like I wonder what this band is about, or I wonder what his take on this record is if I've heard it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
He's really super knowledgeable, of uh, the the stuff that he knows, he really, really
yeah,
knows.
and
Yeah.
it's clear, and we
Yeah.
benefit from that.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
the fanzine days of the Big Takeover from like 80 to 85, it was pretty much just me,
Right.
and it was not as good.
Right.
As much as I may know, and even if your good taste is the same as mine, having 30 or 40 other writers, as we've had since,
Yeah.
we benefit from their knowledge and passion and expertise and writing style and flair and attitude. All
Yeah.
those all those things are in Big Takeover writers. I know because I read them.
Right.
I
Right.
read every word of the magazine, just like unless I generated the content myself. It's the same thing for you. If you get a copy of our magazine, you read Chip Midnight the same as I do.
Yeah.
And hopefully you go like, wow, I'm glad I read that.
Yeah. For sure. That's awesome. All right. Oh man. So yeah, my kid is home from school and he has popped in here a couple times.
Oh yeah, well,
So
we should
we've
go.
been we've been going for a while. But man, thank you so much for your time. Um, if you want to let people know exactly where they can find the big takeover, go ahead. Or if they can just Google the big takeover. I mean, however you want
It's
to.
bigtakeover.com.
Yeah, easy enough, right?
Just know
Easy
the.
enough.
It's no the. It's just
Just
bigtakeover.com.
bigtakeover.com.
And
Awesome.
our shop where we sell all of our magazines, including all of our back issues, is shop.bigtakeover.com. So
Okay.
we're not hiding from anybody.
Right on. Right
We're
on.
quite easy to find. Also, the radio show, if you don't listen to it live, is archived at bigtakeover.com/radio. So again, Very,
Yeah.
very simple. And you can find all that at our website. So there's a
Awesome.
button that says shop. There's a button that says radio if you go to bigtakeover.com. So you don't even have to know that.
Nice. Nice. So yeah, I have had a busy couple of days talking to some people who I'm super excited to have coming on the show pretty soon. Uh, John Elliott from Crash Diet and Confess, Swedish sleaze rock. So that's going to be a super fun interview. We've already confirmed him, and I'm working on a couple other people. So we've got some pretty big stuff coming up in March and April, I think, and hopefully people will want to hear it. Keep on tuning into the show.
Well, good
Um,
on you, man. Good on you, Keith.
Thanks, man.
See, this
Yeah,
is how you contribute. You
yeah,
you expose people to like some people who don't get interviewed all the damn time.
right. Yeah, I try. Yeah, I actually, I, I might as well throw a plug out there for my Taste in Music Sucks, which is the podcast that I do with Christopher Icon, where we just we go track by track on albums that we love that we feel like people may have overlooked, or new stuff that we think people should check out. So that's always fun. We're doing Vinyl by Dramarama on the next episode, so
Okay.
that'll be a good time.
Speaking
Um,
of John and Clem.
yeah, yeah, coincidentally. Um, but yeah, Jack, thank you so much. This has been fun. It's been cool just sitting here listening to you. This is one of the easiest interviews I've ever done because you know you really
Yeah.
have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, man. So
When I got interviewed by Flipside magazine in 1982, they said we sat Jack down and we made him talk.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what I did here. I just kind of
Like, yeah, they pulled out a gun and they stuck me at my head and said, if you
like,
don't talk, we'll blow your head off.
yeah,
That's one of the funniest jokes about me I've ever heard.
it's awesome.
We made him talk.
Yeah, I don't think anybody needed to make you talk. It's kind of a
Well, talking about interesting, things in my life and just in general is really
yeah.
easy. Because and next time you come, you should put down your tape recorder and bring a beer mug.
Okay.
We could just do this over a drink, just
Right.
the two of
Sure.
us. Happens
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Life is
100%.
short, man.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, thank you again, man, and thank you to Nate Walden, who's our new producer.
Thanks,
Tyler
Nate.
had to Tyler had to take a little bit of time to himself. Hopefully, he'll be back at some point. Um, and yeah, thank you to everybody who's been keeping this thing going for the last two something years. I appreciate everybody who listens to the show and checks us out on YouTube and however you consume your stuff. But again, thank you, Jack Rabbit, so much. I am Keith, and I will be back next week with more Most Excellent Entertainment.
Thank you.